We are.
We started?
No.
Well, that's first.
Well, that's what I call a roll. You do not have an engine edition. She says it's you. She says it's you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City Council meeting of the Greenwood City Council this Monday, March the 9th, 2020 at approximately 7:18 p.m. Ms. Derry, would you call the roll, please?
Yes. Lance Terry?
Here.
David McDaniel?
Here.
Todd Powell? He is absent.
He is absent.
Earl Baker?
Here.
AC Brown?
Here.
And Tim Terry?
Here.
There's a quorum.
Thank you. If you would please rise, we will begin our meeting this evening with a prayer. Trent, I know your name. Hampton, thank you, from Calvary Temple, and then followed by our pledge of allegiance by Chief Stuart Bryant.
Lord, we love you. Thank you for this great city with great leaders and citizens. We ask that you would bring your presence in this place, God. We ask that you would lead us, guide us, and direct us as we make decisions and we try to bring your will, that you give us godly wisdom as decisions are made. We ask that you protect our community, protect our leaders, keep sickness and keep us from harm, Lord. We ask that you would unite us for the common good to do your will. We ask, God, that you would give us an uncommon spirit of unity, that we would be able to show your love to all around us. We thank you in advance for the blessings that you continue to pour out upon this city and our leaders and citizens, God. We ask that you would continue to pour those out on Greenwood. Ask that your kingdom would come, Lord, and your will would be done in Greenwood just as it is in heaven. In Jesus' name, amen. Please repeat with me. Pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Where'd the pastor go? Oh, he's still here. Those guys realize after they've done that a few times, they sneak out the door running out.
Coming for the state of the city.
Oh! Good for you. At this time, I would ask the council to approve or to take a look at, if you have not had a chance to, minutes for the February 3rd council meeting. I'd ask for consideration approval for that.
Mayor, I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second. We have a motion and a second?
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
McDaniel?
Yes.
And Terry?
Yes.
Lance Terry?
Thank you. Next on the agenda is recognitions and acknowledgements, and we have a couple of those this evening. And I'm going to ask that, give me a name, Brooklyn Suggs and Jay Lee, step forward if you would, please, Ms. Brooklyn. So I think I'm understanding, which one's which? I haven't met you yet. Really? Brooklyn? I think you guys were not aware of this this evening, right? You said you'd come to the meeting, is that correct? Sure, she said. So it is an honor for me to get to do this. We witness a lot of things here in Greenwood, in my opinion, that makes Greenwood, come on, front line, you gotta be front and center, everybody see you. So this is just one of the very small things, in my opinion, not a small thing, but a thing that happens within our citizenry daily, and sometimes we get to recognize it because I know about it, and many, many times I don't know about it, so it goes on without anybody paying any attention or giving any credit where credit is due. Not that anybody's expecting any credit. Without further ado, I'm sure, Brooklyn. A proclamation on behalf of the people of Greenwood, the city of Greenwood, and the Mayor Doug Kinslow, publicly recognize Brooklyn Suggs. Whereas the city of Greenwood, Arkansas takes any opportunity to commend its young citizens for their outstanding contributions to the quality of life in this community, and whereas true friendship is defined as when someone knows you better than yourself, takes a position in your best interest in a crisis. And whereas Brooklyn Suggs and Jaylee Gann have been friends since they were 4 years old and currently are in the 7th grade. I've been corrected. I'm seeing 3 years old. Whoever gave this information, 3 years old. And now you're in the 7th grade? Okay. Spent the best 4 years of my life in the 7th grade. Thank you. Ms. McKinney, thank you. Okay. At Greenwood Junior High. And whereas, unfortunately, Jaylee occasionally suffers from seizures at school and on her daily bus ride, Brooklyn is always there to help. Brooklyn has come to the aid of Jaylee numerous times, reassuring and consoling her until help arrives. And whereas Brooklyn is the ultimate meaning of a true friend and shown compassion far beyond that of a 7th grade student, she is an exceptional example of how we should all be friends to others. And therefore, I, Doug Kinslow, do hereby deem it an honor and pleasure to proclaim today, March 9, 2020, as Brooklyn Suggs Day. Jaylee's telling me that everybody knew but Brooklyn, right? So how did you get her here?
We thought it was an anti-bullying movie.
Anti-bullying? Wow. Well, it's funny because that's on the agenda next month. No, it's not. So, again, this is what makes Greenwood Greenwood and a place that feels like home, certainly. So I want to do a couple of things, Brooklyn, other than giving you this certificate or this recognition. I want to give you and make you're already a citizen of Greenwood, but here's you an official pin. You are now even more official a citizen of Greenwood. There's your pin. And I think, if didn't do bad, Jaylee, yes, I have one for you also. You're welcome. And this is key to the city, okay? Not everybody gets these, and know before you start thinking about it, it does not open the city hall, it does not open the office, and it doesn't go to the dairy or any of those fun places. I paid to give a commercial for the dairy this evening, so. But seriously, this is a key to the city, and it really doesn't open anything, not a lot anyway, but it opens, and I say this a lot, but I truly mean it, it opens the hearts of every citizen in Greenwood because of what you are and how you are a friend to Jaylee. So congratulations, you now own the key to the city of Greenwood. God bless you, thank you so much for doing what you do. The bullying conference will start in just about an hour. Now, have again the distinct honor. No, y'all have to stay through the whole. They don't get that, do they? They don't get that. So, Mr. McKinney, if you would be so kind, or if somebody would help you up here. I'm not sure what to do. I don't want you to have to stand through the whole thing. If you want, I'll be brief. I said I'll be brief. I hear you. You know what? You can stand right where you are if you like. There's no need to move around like. That's good right there. Or you can come over here either way. Yeah, I got you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. O.B. McKinney. And unless you are new to Greenwood, new as in the last 30 years, you have to know who O.B. McKinney is. O.B. McKinney is one of those gentlemen that is, in my opinion, is an icon of Greenwood. If you mention the McKinney family, you're talking, and we learned this when Richard was on staff here with the city. I learned a lot more than I needed to know, to be honest with you. But, and of course, if you know the McKinney family, you know everybody else because they're kin to everybody else, right? And I don't know how many times that came full circle, which that's a whole other discussion, but if you don't know William McKinney, you need to know him and you need to get to know him well. I mean, he's just a scholar and a gentleman, in my opinion. I have personally known this family since I was, I don't know, a week old or something. I don't know, way back. Dale and I ran around together. That's a whole other, we don't want to talk about all this stuff. We are here tonight because Mr. McKinney is being presented his diploma. He got his GED. I'm going to read some information about Mr. McKinney real quick, and then if you have any questions, he's here for an answer to your question. He was born in 1924 in Milltown. He was the oldest of 6 children of Sam and Dorothy McKinney. He was a grandson of Lewis B. McKinney, a Union Army Civil War veteran who moved to Sebastian County from Tennessee in the 1870s. He was a great-grandson of Joshua Nixon, who moved from Kentucky to Sebastian County in the 1850s, enlisted in the Union Army in 1863, and who died while serving at Fort Smith. So if you can't tell already, this family goes way back in this area. He grew up in the Winterville-Clarks Chapel area.
Well, part of it here too.
And part here, you can correct me anytime, okay? You can do that anytime. We're doing this for a reason. He got dropped out of school at age 13 to take over the family farm, as many men had to do back in those days. My father did something similar, not to take a farm, but to work and do what he needed to do to help. So his father was away working on WPA projects at that time. He began working on paying jobs, because working the farm is just living, right? A few years later, one of which was helping to construct the barracks at Fort Chaffee. He was drafted in 1943 and assigned to the Army Air Corps, trained as a cook, served in Italy for 2 years in various positions. And I got to ask you, can you cook spaghetti still?
Yeah, I learned how to cook it.
Yeah, I bet you did. I bet you did. More than one time. Sorry. Served in it for 2 years in various positions, was a staff sergeant by the end of the war. He decided to stay in the military, earned his GED, continued working in the food service field. This is what I know back in the day when Dale and I were running around. By the time he was 30 years old, he was a master sergeant, which is the top enlisted rank, correct?
Right.
He was then, sir?
That was as far as you could go at that time.
Yes, sir. He was then appointed as a warrant officer. Warrant officers, I'll give you some information, are the technical experts in their fields. Air Force would have been similar in the 1950s. That he was one of the last to make warrant officer before the Air Force did away with the rank. So I don't know what you did as the warrant officer, but they decided to stop doing it after that.
Pardon?
It was just a bad joke. It was just a bad joke. a lot of teachers, as I went through school, quit, so it's similar to that. So anyway, served several times as a squadron commander. He normally was responsible for all of the food service operations on an air base, and retired as a chief warrant officer 4, which is the highest warrant officer rank in 1966. He returned to Greenwood in 1967, was food service director. This is what I remember. Food service at St. Edward's Hospital, among other jobs. Served on City Council for more than 20 years.
4.
24? Thank you. 24 years. That's awesome. Yeah,
That should be a goal.
yeah, that's a gold star at least, sir.
73 till the turn of the century.
73 to the turn of the century. That's awesome.
But it was a 2-year term also.
Oh, really?
That's
Oh, wow.
elections.
Wow. You guys are going to step up a little bit. Except this guy. You left the council in 1999 or 2000, I guess, right before. He was behind the creation of the planning commission that we enjoy today, and obviously works well within our city. I know Robert has served on that also, and was on council during the time when they passed the ordinance to purchase this facility or build this facility. So I think your name's on that plaque out there.
Haven't played this.
Yes, sir. And you did well, because this building serves us well. It's the perfect size. It works very well. And a lot of planning and work put into that. We appreciate you very much. I cannot even halfway express my gratitude, and I think everybody in this audience, your appreciation.
Oh, in fact, all of you.
Well,
Not sorry, my voice.
no, sir. You're fine. You're fine.
94-year-old, 60-year-old.
You're doing well, and that's awesome. That's awesome. And you continue, of course, to wear the flag on your lapel. We thank you. We love you. We appreciate you. I want to give this plaque. I'll hand it to Robert.
Yeah.
This is Greenwood High School certifies that O.B. McKinney has satisfactorily completed the course of study prescribed by the Board of Education for the high school and is therefore entitled to this diploma. Long time coming. So there's that. Wow, everybody's. coming, some thank yous.
Thank you all.
Yes, sir. And as I was telling the lady a while ago, you can't get in my office with this, okay? But we want to present you with the key to the city. And this is, you may have one of these, I don't know, if your service of all these years. You should have one of this. It's an actual building, right?
To the old building.
To the old building, okay. So this is a key to the city, and we just want to know that we're so proud to even know you and to be a part of your life. So there's that. I'm going to give that to Robert. And a pen. And you care if I put this on you? Can I pin you? I think that's a yes, right? Maybe I can, I don't know. Look at childproof, that's right. We'll put it over here on this side. My goodness.
That's the best one I'd like to
Yeah,
add.
please do.
Please, our mother died in December, age 93. Her family goes back here too. Her father was on the council for over 20 years and was here when we put in the sewer system in 1960. So we, the family, well, thank you all for tonight, for doing this work, and just how much we appreciate Greenwood. How many more generations we hope to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know I've been told not to shake your hand, but I've got to shake your hand. I'm sorry. I cannot shake your hand. Just a quick one. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Danielle wants to prove it.
Yes, family picture.
Absolutely. Family picture? Yes. John, you too, I guess. No. I'll take one picture.
They want another photo. They want another photo with the whole family up here. The daughter-in-laws too?
And I want in when you get one of them.
Food, yeah, that's. Ready?
Huh?
1, 2,
You gotta take it.
3.
All right, I'll get
Mayor,
it.
get it?
No, I get it.
Yeah.
Here, I'll get it right here. Can you see me?
No.
All right, you guys scoot in. That's right.
That's right. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Thank you so much. Yes, I will. Yeah, they will. Councilman Mtg wanted to know if he could be obvious if he snuck out with the McKinney's. That's still not listening. That's something about the speech, bro. I heard that. Okay, that was awesome, and that's good, cool to get to do that. So, my turn. Glad you got here, Rod. What's that? So while I'm preparing this and getting ready, I'm gonna move this over here because I don't want time behind me. In case you don't know, the tradition here in Greenwood during the city of address of the city, whatever it says, say the city address, is that there are, I don't think there's any real money in it. But there may be some wagering going on up here about how long this lasts. So feel free to do the same in the audience, if you would like. So here we go. You ready? Who's got the clock? Go. So tonight, I'd like to thank the City Council, City Attorney Mike Hamby, City Clerk Treasurer Charlotte Derry, special guests and citizens of this great city. Thank you all for the opportunity and privilege of serving you as we continue to strive to make Greenwood indeed a place that feels like home. I would like to acknowledge my new executive assistant. Can't ever remember her name, but it is Danielle Smith, who is also the city's first director of human resources. Ms. Smith has implemented a health and safety plan and handled the transition of all employees to a new insurance company, along with everything else that little bitty line at the bottom of her job description says, and all other duties. And she continues to find out on a daily basis that those are many. You're doing a fantastic job, and I appreciate you. Thank you. I would also like to welcome Laura Shepard, who is our city's first ever receptionist. She's not here this evening. She is the first face that you see in Greenwood, when the City Hall, when you come in, and she's doing a wonderful job, and we appreciate her too. A special thank you to my beautiful wife and my family for their continued love and support, who's not here tonight because they really don't like me that much. No, there were some issues at our home. Henry Ford once said, if everyone is moving forward, then success takes care of itself. I know that from department heads on down through the ranks, we are blessed with employees that indeed take pride in their positions. And I believe it shows all across our city. One major project that brought everyone together this past year was the Greenwood Traffic Relief Bond issue. Well, we did it. Beginning at Highway 96 and 10, the bypass will traverse private and public properties, connecting directly onto Highway 10 and Coker Street. The new construction will consist of 1 mile of 5-lane highway and 3 bridges. The second phase of the project will widen Highway 10 all the way to Highway 71. The current estimated cost of that project, current as in about 6 months ago, was about $32 million. Greenwood's share of that is $5 million. I have been working alongside many other people working on this project since I was elected. But this issue, as we all know, has been a concern of citizens for decades. Our dot director, Scott Bennett, told us the 3 things we needed to make this happen. We needed money, we needed property, and we needed the willingness to take over Highway 10 Spur. The city agreed to convert Highway 10 Spur back to Center Street. Dr. Burgess graciously offered the use of his property at a very reasonable rate. And the last piece of the puzzle was the funding. I went to our finance director, Tom Marsh, asked him to develop a plan to raise $5 million without increasing taxes. He quickly shut the door on me and excused me. He went to work diligently, and the solution was to pay off an existing bond and to extend and repurpose it. We put it up for a vote, and our citizens overwhelmingly supported it with a record-setting voter turnout for a special election. Led by the Chamber of Commerce Director Bob Purvis, a group of citizens formed the Greenwood Committee for Progress and Safety in order to promote the ballot issue. The committee included Buddy Lloyd, who's here tonight, Sean Lynn, Ferris Shopak, Mr. Bob Purvis, Michael LeJean, Tammy Briley, Jeff Bryant, Cheryl Garner, our director, Sonny Bell, Dr. Brandon Goldsmith, who's here somewhere, and Todd Basham. Oh, there you are. And I thank you all and many other volunteers who came together to help our city in this manner. I appreciate Mr. Scott Bennett's help with our traffic relief project and wish him a very happy retirement. And also want to congratulate, yes, he retired because I bugged him to no end, so he finally had enough. But Mrs. Lori Tudor, who is also very close to our working on this project, is now the first ever female director of Arkansas Department of Transportation. We expect to see construction on the bypass within the next 3 years. So now we have a lot of work to do. We need to plan and plan well our infrastructure around this project. Tonight, I would like to talk to you about how our various departments have helped us on the road to growth. I'll begin with our police department. I could sum up their success with one sentence. Greenwood is currently the 2nd safest city in the state of Arkansas. Yeah. Led by Chief Will Dawson, our police department continues to be one of the best trained departments in the state. The implementation of the church patrols, coordinating with the school district to help keep our children and citizens safe, they continue to indeed serve and protect. This year at the police department, the Ambassador Award went to Kristen Falkenberry. The DWI detection went to Joe Casanova. The Chief's Award went to Tim Gossett. Officer of the Year was Will Reed. And the Mayor's Award was presented to Eric Pippin. I don't normally get to have a chance to witness the police in action necessarily, but I happened to be with the fire chief at this time, and he went on the call, a couple of calls, and every time I witnessed and saw Eric, he's extremely professional, regardless of the situation, and he has dedicated 10 years of service to the city of Greenwood. Fire department, with over 720 incidents last year, the fire department has certainly been busy. Along with the constant training, our volunteer fire department is second to none in the state. Chief Stewart Bryan leads them with his professionalism and dedication to the city. In 2019, he completed the highest level of officer training in the fire service. Last year, the department added new equipment and earned the FireWise designation for the 10th straight year. These accomplishments, along with other improvements, have led to our city in obtaining an ISO Public Protection Classification rating of 2. This is big. It was killing Stewart that I was going to tell you first, but I got it done. That's a big deal. That puts Greenwood in the top 4% of communities in the entire United States. Our new rating could provide individuals an additional 3 to 5% in insurance savings, which could end up around $300,000 total citywide. Helping us pave the way to future growth, our street department works hard maintaining approximately 71 miles of city streets, right-of-ways, and ditches. Director Dennis Goodwin and his team have led the charge on what I refer to as the war on drainage, cutting and removing debris and overgrowth from easements throughout the city, which will have a positive impact on any potential flooding issues in our neighborhoods. The department acquired new equipment, including a Timco 435 sweeper truck, snow plows, sanders, and a roller. The department received a grant to do $1 million overlay on Denver Street, of which the city only had to pay 20% of the total cost. We updated our city's infrastructure technology with Street Scan, which will help us determine which roads are in need of repair in order to maximize our budget potential. The scan will also be used for mapping projects and city planning. If only Dennis could learn how to run it, it would be good. Anyway, our recycling center under direction of Valerie DiMaggio and our new hire Kenneth Kirk saw an increase of 5,500 cars this year to over 12,000. Our recycling has become more effective because these employees are able to monitor the materials received for recyclability. Tammy Briley stepped in as the interim parks director, and I was proud to see her move into that position permanently. I witnessed Tammy's commitment for the city, and she worked as my executive assistant for more than 4 years. Ms. Briley brings much enthusiasm to the Parks Department with lots of plans and projects. Under her direction, with the support of the Parks Commission, the department continues the tradition of city beautification, making sure all trails and parks are well kept, including the very important task of managing the placement of the veteran stepping stones in Memorial Park. They upgraded our playgrounds with mulch and new play sets for all ages. Excited to announce, and if you haven't been up to Bell Park, Phase 2 of the Bell Park Promenade has begun, which extends decorative walkways around the park's north side, providing a scenic overlook. The Parks Commission, led by Joel Goldstein, recently acquired 19 acres adjacent to Bell Park, which will allow the department to expand on life amenities for the city of Greenwood. Mayor's Choice Award, Officer Bittman. Interested in the planning department with Sonny Bell at the helm is experiencing a positive growth with $6.6 million in residential permits, along with $2 million in industrial and commercial building and remodels, including Casey's General Store, Domino's, Roma, and among others. Where the commission's newly designated R5 zoning, several duplex projects has also been approved. This addresses the economic development issue of a lack of multifamily properties in the city. Additionally, the Chamber of Commerce partnered with the Economic Development Committee to create a City Council approved part-time staff position which will coordinate the efforts to help Greenwood grow responsibly. Because of the leadership of Finance Director Tom Marsh, we came in under budget last year with 17% growth in total city funds, a $1.7 million increase, and last year we saved approximately $1.5 million through our effective bidding process and our project management. This would not have been possible without the diligence of our department heads and the commissioners. For 2020, we have a balanced budget of $11.9 million. The budget includes $3.5 million in capital improvements budgeted, which include $2 million in carryover for projects that are currently in process and $1.5 million in new capital projects. The city is currently experiencing an uptick in the tax revenue of about 4.5%. One factor is the collection of online tax receipts. In reviewing our budget, we are going to be more aggressive in our cash management, investing surpluses into treasury bonds to generate additional cash funds. The Greenwood School District, under the direction of Superintendent John Cecil, has not only guided our schools to success, but he was named Citizen of the Year for 2019. Mr. Cecil has led our school system to being the #2 best rated district in the state. Greenwood is also ranked #1 in being the best place to teach in Arkansas, and ranked #2 for having the best teachers in the state. I know this for a fact because I witnessed the extra hours, the love and the dedication that my wife, along with her colleagues, exemplify the devotion that Greenwood teachers have for students across this district. Greenwood Junior High, Greenwood Freshman Center, East Hills Middle School, East Point Elementary, and Westwood Elementary all received awards for top 5 or top 10 in growth or academic performance in the state. East Point Elementary was also received the distinguished designation as a Leader in Me Lighthouse School. The Greenwood Freshman Center received the Computer Science Award from Governor Hutchinson, and Greenwood Public Schools was named Best of the Best in the River Valley for 2019. In terms of athletics, our teams won 5A state and conference championships in girls cross country, tennis, volleyball, basketball, and wrestling. I got a feeling if we had checkers, we would take that home too. Coach John Kincaid, if you do not know Coach John Kincaid, get to know him. I was fortunate to be at a Focus on Greenwood meeting recently. He spoke, he speaks from the heart, and he cares about these kids. He's an awesome man. He was named 5A Wrestling Coach of the Year. And Jim Andrews, girls cross country coach, also named Coach of the Year. Coach Rick Jones, anybody remember him? Vaguely. He joined our Greenwood team in 2004. He won 8 state championship titles. He would be quick to take care of what I just said, is that he didn't win, the boys won 8 titles in 16 years with 186 win and 26 loss record. Jones was never one to take credit or make it about himself. He taught not only the students but our citizens how to come together as a team. He was truly an inspiration to the kids and the city as we celebrated our team's victories and struggles. Thank you to Coach Jones for your leadership. Good luck and make us proud. Last year, the true character of Greenwood comes out in any instance, but it comes out when we face challenges. This last year, our city and region experienced a record 500-year flood and some tornadoes. What I saw the day of the tornado was similar to what I witnessed as a young boy here in Greenwood in 1968. Of neighbors helping neighbor, caring for each other, checking on each other. The weather was still somewhat severe as I was out and about. It was raining, and many residents got together to place tarps on people's roofs and help clear debris. Then also in 2019, the Arkansas River crested nearly 20 feet above flood levels. Our city was blessed not to have suffered any damages. However, we did serve as a route for those needing to reach Fort Smith from surrounding areas. I saw it fitting, we placed a giant marquee, "Welcome to Greenwood," as they came through. Our departments worked in coordination with the Sebastian County Emergency Operations Center, making our resources available and on call. Our citizens volunteered helping people and families affected by the flooding. And it is moments like this that certainly make me Greenwood proud. The road to growth. As I mentioned earlier, our citizens approved the funding for our traffic relief project last year, and based on RDOT projection, we anticipate phase 1 to be completed within 3 years. That is not far down the road. And I have asked all departments to compile 3 to 5 year plans. I cannot stress enough the importance of preparing for our future growth. Our planning department recently passed a comprehensive 5 to 10-year plan and map, which will help expand our city through the annexation of commercial corridors along Highway 71. We are creating designated zones that will allow us to regulate our growth. Because of increases in energy costs, we're looking into the possibility of using solar to power all municipality facilities. Additionally, in an effort to go paperless, our clerk treasurer is purchasing tablets for city council and commission meetings. So good luck with that, gentlemen, learning how to learn those things. As Horace Greeley once said, "Go west, young man, go west." The fire department has proposed a 3rd station to accommodate our western expansion. The water and wastewater departments, led by Tim Posey and Greg Cross, will be a crucial component to developing infrastructure to make our growth possible. We are also considering 30-year forecasts, which could require alternate water resources. We're looking down the road. Our Parks Department collaborated with the Western Arkansas Planning Development District to generate a first-class city bicycle and pedestrian plan that extends our trail system connecting the city's west side to Greenwood Lake, which includes the revitalization of the old Iron Bridge. The Street Department received grant approval from the state for phase 1 of our sidewalk construction project. And I cannot tell you how excited I am about this project. It's a long time coming, and it still seems to be down the road, but we're getting it. It will go along Highway 10 spur on the north side from Denver Street down to Webster Street, and on the south side will go down from Denver Street down to the new Waffle House, which has recently started construction. In the process of making Greenwood more business friendly, our Economic Development Committee partnered with the Chamber of Commerce and is looking into forming a Builders and Developers Council along with the Business Incubator Program. That's good news, isn't it, buddy? Bob Purvis is the chairman of our local Census Complete Count Committee. I encourage everyone to participate because every person who is not counted will cost our city budget as much as $10,000 over the next 10 years. So please stand up and be counted. No, seriously, please stand up. I knew that would go that way. My final thoughts. Last evening, I took a stroll down the City Hall walking trail behind City Hall that cuts behind the historic district, featuring the Coal Miners Memorial and follows Hartselle Creek. I passed the Senior Citizen Activity Center, a vital aspect of our community. It made me remember my dad and all the important people who built this city. Across the way, the police department stands on the hill as a symbol of safety and service. I stopped at one of the many exercise stations, not to exercise, below the Zachary Park Pavilion, both Eagle Scout projects, and looked up at the Winford Park caboose from the Missouri Pacific Rail that once ran through our city. Encountering a man walking his dog with two little boys who gave me thumbs up, both of them, and a little girl who knew me by speaking to her at school, some female joggers, and a couple just out taking a sunset walk. I noticed a pile of limbs and trash made by a volunteer. People lovingly refer to her as the Trail Angel. The Trail Fairy. A few steps around the next bend, I happened upon Miss Pat Bailey, who was busy clearing a patch of briars. I visited with her, as I have on numerous occasions, and commended her on her effort and the time she puts into cleaning up her trails, picking up trash, dead limbs, and trimming invasive foliage. People often ask me why I wanted to be mayor. I love opportunities such as these when I get to discover unsung heroes, like Miss Bailey, who loves their city without seeking any recognition. It reminds me of the lessons my dad taught me about the importance of being a good servant with one's community. Now, in my second term, I am as thankful today to serve you as your mayor as when I first came into office in 2014. I am striving to represent you, our citizens, in a manner that mirrors the dedication and love that you have for our wonderful city. Greenwood's road to growth will not be possible without each and every one of you, and I am proud to join you on this journey. May God bless you and the city of Greenwood. Thank you. Autographed copies will be at the back. That's a joke. Dr. Brandon Goldsmith assists me every year with my speech. Thank you, Dr. Goldsmith. He is a Greenwoodian and got some long history in the town too from his family. So thank you again. Moving on. How do we do on the bets, gentlemen? I'm sorry?
I missed it by a minute.
I missed it by 2.
All right, not that that's important. Okay, committee reports. Thank you. South Space County Boys and Girls Club, I don't see Mr. Kenny here this evening. We have a written report, I do believe. Yes, you don't? I'm sorry. Yeah, there was several missing.
I talked to Mr. Kenny over the weekend, he had surgery on Friday. And so he's under the weather.
Okay.
He's had back surgery.
All right, well, Kenny does a good job usually reporting too. So again, as always, if you have any questions regarding any of these entities, let us know and we can check with the director whoever's in charge. SRCA, not here this evening. Did you get a report? No. Parks Commission, Mr. Joel Gilstein is under the weather also, if you will. I'm sorry. Oh, you have a report? Good. I didn't think you would not. Okay. So if you have any questions regarding that, you address that to myself or Ms. Danielle or Darian or Tammy. You can do it now or you can wait for Parks or whatever you want to do. We have Parks and there are people in it, right? Okay. Water Wastewater Commission, Mr. Bailey is here.
Last year, around May, I provided y'all with a new state law that was passed in April that set out a process of evaluating and transferring rural water district areas to municipalities. That law has gone to courts. And the courts basically, for my going through it out, or basically it said it violated federal law that protected rural water districts areas. So that will not be a means we can use to obtain rural water district areas. Speaking of rural water district areas, as you know, we buy about 2/3 of our water from Jamesport, and we've got 2 notices of violations of water testing. The standard is 80 parts per billion of trihalomethanes. They came out 84, which is not a big violation, but they did bust the standard. And in November, they failed to develop and follow an approved protocol for testing coliform, just didn't do it. So we got those 2 violations, and we're going to investigate what that means for us. But all their customers have been notified. We had scheduled a bid opening for last Monday when the City Council meeting was supposed to have occurred, and we had in the bid proposals for that date So we appreciate the mayor for coming in, and the mayor's reps that came in. We did the bid opening, and it was for removing and hauling off sludge out of our sewer ponds. And we gave them the dollar amount, $250,000, and asked, how much can you move? And the amounts came out. The bid we're going to recommend is Denali Water Solutions. They said they could remove and haul off 700,000 dry, not 700,000, 700 dry tons, 700 dry tons. And the other bidder was Merrill Brothers, and they said they could haul off 163 dry tons. The difference was Denali has their own land application site, kind of like Fort Browning had out here. They can take that sludge and land apply. And Merrill would have to dewater it, couldn't pay tipping fees at the landfill. So that's why the one's so much cheaper, or could do so much more, because they have their own disposal site. So we will need for the city council to accept the bid. We need a motion or agenda?
Yeah, you're actually on the agenda for that one, so.
Okay.
Yep.
So we can put that to the
Yes.
very bottom, okay?
Yep, number 10.
Number 10, okay? And,
Sorry, I say.
oh yeah. And the last thing we have is, the Water and Wastewater Commission will be holding a meeting in March, our scheduled meeting here at spring break, so we canceled the meeting. Do I have any questions?
No question? Thank you, Mr. Bailey, appreciate you. Citizen forum is next on the agenda. I didn't have any signatures on the form, if you will, so we will move on to the next item, which is the financial report. Mr. Tom Marsh.
Real quickly, the city self-use taxes is referenced, experienced an increase. We did, in the second month, achieve a 9.7% month over same sales, same city self-use tax return over 19 was 9.7% for the month, 20 over 19. Cumulatively, we're at 9.4% right now this year. You'll see the graph showing how high it is. So, as I was trying to say, 1 month doesn't make a trend. If you go back to around September or October of last year, and notice that we were trending rather high. That was right after the law passed where the city sales and use tax now encompasses online sales. We're experiencing a rather large increase so far. I'd love to see what you're seeing in your graph is the reflection of Christmas, which is what we normally see in February. Usually it's about a 2-month lag. We usually take a dip in March to see how much of a dip. Hopefully it stays at about that 4.5% increase over our projections from the previous year. So right now we're ahead of budget significantly. One of the things that you have to understand is that the percent increase that we're experiencing equates to additional dollars for the departments that obviously utilize that, which is parks, fire, and street. And ultimately, that's going to be additional money for them to do projects and account for overruns and some of the things that they had maybe under budgeted for throughout the year. So I wanted to point that out to you. You can see the graphs. Even the county sales tax is up. County sales tax is tracking about at a 1.5% cumulative. Usually we're negative at this point in time. You don't usually pick up the city sales and use tax. So our 6-year T growth is right now at about 1.98%, almost 2%. So that's also getting a little bit of that impact from this online sales coming through the county sales tax, which is pooled amount and distributed based on census to the city, unlike city sales and use tax, which is directly apportioned back to us. If you turn to the balance sheet, I do want to point out on the second page of the balance sheet, you can track our debt, some of our debt services on principal. The long-term liability column, which is the second sheet of the balance sheet, right-hand column, you'll see on the last 2 items, the principal for the fire department pumper is at $314,217. That's what we're currently paying on and paying down on. That is the principal payoff right now. as we speak. However, you do realize that that's going to be something that we have to consider depending on what the insurance company does on I guess Stuart can talk about it, but as far as whether they total it or whether they put it back in repair, we are still paying on this until a decision is made as to whether we're going to get any funds to basically total and give us a depreciable value, and then we apply it towards a new pumper truck. Fire Station 3's loan, the land loan that we have is $155,000 right now left to pay on. You can watch that number drop as we make our principal payments monthly. You have also behind that the list of every department for the months of January and February. You also have your new budgets in front of you. Each one of you has a binder with all your 2020 budgets there. That will be at your place every month. You have a city council meeting. You can refer to those throughout as people are discussing some things that have budget implications. So they're all there. If you have any questions, you can also ask me. Those 5 pages of the revenues and expenses, any questions on those, address them to me throughout the week. If you want to give me a call on, that's fine. If you have any questions tonight in the forum or when we give our presentations later, that's also fine. If you go to the statement of cash flows by month, we had budgeted a 16.69% fund decline in 2020 based on projects that were being done and where our revenue stream was headed. We are right now at a 0.5% increase. We've increased our fund balance. If you'll notice, we have a $57,000 net increase in cash. We are at $11,913,000 in our fund balance. And then the next page, you'll see an amount that's by each of the 8 individual funds, subcategorized by the virtual funds that fall within those 8 major funds. I do want to back up, though, to the last page of the statement of revenues and expenses. I did promise you that you would be seeing the actual and budgeted capital outlay, because that's what's most concerning to us as far as how the spending is going in capital projects. As you heard in the speech, we have designated this budget $3.5 million. We have, in the first 2 months, we've spent $289,000, right at $290,000. That's 8.2% spent of our $3.5 million. So you can track every month how we're doing on spending towards those capital projects and about how much would not be accomplished and have to be rolled over into 2021.
Any questions? I would encourage you, as Tom has said, to check with him at any time you have any questions during the week, or I'll just go a step further late at night, on the weekends, after hours. Always with him. But seriously, he's always on it. So if you have any questions, I encourage you to stop by City Hall or call him and see what's going on if you have any thoughts on or questions on it.
One last thing.
Yes, sir.
Is that next tomorrow morning, Charlotte will be in. She'll have this delivered to her via electronically. It is the City of Greenwood's financial statement on audited cash basis that will be published before April 1st. It will be published in the newspapers. It's the general fund, street fund, and water sewer funds financials for 2019. They will be in there, basically high level unaudited cash base financials. So they are prepared, they are ready, and they will be presented to her in the morning.
Thank you, sir. On the heels of that, it's not a financial issue, but certainly I need to bring to your attention. Danielle brought it to me a few minutes ago, and I noticed Sean just stepped in, so I'm assuming he may be happy. Did anybody lose a roll of $100 bills here this evening? Seriously. Wrapped up in a rubber band, because we have found your rubber band. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
You'll be here all night.
You're welcome, Sean. That's for you. All right, moving on. Keep my things up. All right.
Wait till about 9 and present that deal to her just in case.
Oh, there you go. Would it have been better if I had said 20s? Would that have been more? Okay, moving on. Agenda additions, we had one this morning in our department head meeting at 10 o'clock, and it is a Aqua Water Wastewater Commission, and it is officially titled, looking to you for that number 10 title. You're an hour late, you don't know. That is it, yes. No, that's your,
Acceptance of the bid?
yes, yeah.
And-
That is
and
what
authorization
John was
to add
referring,
contract?
Mr. Bailey was referring to, yes, thank you. Okay, so that's number 10. I would ask if there are any other additions from council or anything like that. Okay. Yes, sir.
Funding for a joke rider.
Really? That gets a laugh, okay. I see how it is. How much? Okay, so moving on. Old business, council is ordinance establishing salary and benefits for city attorney. Third reading, I believe Mr. Powell originally presented that.
Well, it's what we've gone over the last two, this is the third reading. It's number 1 in your packet. Nothing's changed. Does anybody have any questions?
I just want to make sure that we're not supposed to indicate in there that it's amending a previous ordinance. I brought this up a couple times, I don't know why that might, because there's a couple previous ordinances that one of them, I think.
I don't think any of them, I think we talked about this last month, that they didn't address the salary issue, they just addressed the duties of the city attorney.
Yeah, one of
They ended
them,
up doing all of that anyway, so. I don't know if we need to amend
I
it.
didn't,
Ones we had last month didn't have a specific dollar amount.
Yeah, they didn't have a dollar amount, it just
Right.
says that for your
City
wages,
budget.
this is what you're gonna do. So I said I've been doing all those same things except for getting the agenda meetings. Thank God we don't have those.
I was gonna say, no suggestion we're gonna do that.
Yeah, nobody in Kenny can tell you about those.
Yeah. Okay, so you're okay with it, Mike?
Not fine.
Not, okay.
Yes, sir, and I appreciate it very much.
And I'm okay with it. Previous ordinances stand, so I'd like to make a motion we pass this for the third reading by title only.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pass third reading title only.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
McDaniel?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Unanimous. An ordinance establishing the salary and benefits for the elected city attorney in the city of Greenwood, Arkansas for other purposes.
Make a motion we adopt.
Will you
Then
just-
they can just adopt it, it's going to take 30 days after that. And I called Charlotte and asked her about it, I forgot we hadn't had on the third reading, so I'm posted the packet that answers that question. So it will take 30 days from that.
Just as it is, as we are.
Just if we.
Okay. Okay, thank you. We'll move on to number 2 on your new business, repeal and replace ordinance number 15-17 requiring solicitor permit, second reading. So, is this first or second?
Second.
It is second reading.
I mean, it's the same.
Are you second? Okay. So we had some questions and trying to kind of clean it a little bit, if you will, if that's the right term, and change it to make sense. I think next month we will be coming back to you to look at the, what's it called?
Solicitor's.
Solicitor's
I mean, the
permit. Mobile vendor, because it kind of, as it reads now, it kind of,
No, it actually directly states
Kind of, it
that
does, yeah.
the solicitor's permit is required.
Yeah.
I also emailed Mike about that, but I didn't get an answer.
What was it?
The mobile vendors
vendor.
ordinance states in it that it is required to get a solicitor's permit, so we need to amend it.
I looked at what you said, but I didn't see it in there.
Yeah, I mean, it says it, you can pull it up, maybe on.
of course, that's not that's not this. This is right, this is what we're going to be talking about.
Right.
Next, when we present that back.
Okay. That's a separate one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, I misunderstood.
Yes,
I
sir.
thought you were talking about this, and I kept
Yeah.
reading the section you referred to, and I didn't see it.
Yeah, it's in the mobile vendor.
We will need to look at
Yeah.
that. Yes, it's
Okay.
I'll put that on next.
Questions or comments, discussion regarding you have in front of you?
How do we determine the fees?
How did we determine the
Yeah,
fees?
Mr.
No, that's probably a good question. This was done, well, the original ones, I'm not sure when it was done, but I don't know the answer to that. I'm sorry,
This is just the same that's been in there for a long time.
for a long time, but yeah, back in the day, I'm
Those are
not
permits for people going door to door, right?
Yes.
correct.
It just seems cheap. To me,
Right.
for what they're doing.
I think back, Mr. Bell, was
Because
this
because
something
your
you
good
were?
people ain't gonna dispute, really, you know what I'm saying? And that's just.
Yeah. You
I've
remember
asked several times, why the people that are
the purchasing?
blind.
Of course, it could be $2,500.
And the way I
I would
explain
almost
it.
say it's reverse. The guy with a daily permit should pay the maximum versus an annual. A guy with an annual permit is somebody theoretically that's gonna stick around and keep working here
All right.
versus the guy that's gonna come in for one day, go to door to crashing.
I mean, I'm good with it, I just.
Mr. Bell, do you remember, or were you part of any of this early on back in the day? No? Okay. We can research that to see why, and then if you want to,
I mean, I don't.
okay. We'll find out the plan. This
I'm
is the first thing,
I'm good with it,
second reading.
I'm just kind of curious.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Any consideration of moving on?
We do understand why we're doing this,
I
right?
think, I didn't mean to talk
This is
about
the
that.
background check, correct?
Yeah, the former one didn't say anything about
Correct.
it. It also didn't say the police department would pass or fail, you know, for whatever.
Yeah, it had it in there, but it didn't have any teeth to do anything about it, right?
Yeah, and also this one exempts mobile vendors from it.
Right,
That's why
so,
I say it.
so we immediately need to be looking at that one next month. I didn't want to put it too much on your mind, so.
I've got enough to add that next time.
I mean, we can look at other cities as we do sometimes and see what their fees are and see if it is reversed, like you're talking about, or see if it's a higher for the.
Well, it can go both ways. There's maybe some people that are soliciting stuff you don't want to hear all year.
Yeah. Of course it is.
And when they ask me, I explain that, you know, it's kind of taking people's time out of their, you know, peaceful home day or whatever, and that in order to go house to house and interrupt, there's a fee for that, you know. So to kind of keep it down to where they gotta really be serious about what they got. That's how I plan it.
Oh, I have no problem. Make
No.
$1 million, doesn't matter to me.
I don't think we get an awful lot of these requests anyway, do we? Well, that's not to say we don't have people doing it necessarily. Okay, so without any questions or more concerned about it?
I make a motion, we approve this for the second reading. By title only.
Have a motion and a second? By title only?
Where's that money go? Just curious.
Speech writing. I mean, joke telling class.
Raise the fees.
Obviously, we're not.
Obviously, we're not raising that money. There you go. So we have a motion and a second.
Powell,
Yes.
McDaniel,
Yes.
Mr. Baker,
Yes.
Jim Terry,
Yes.
Mrs. Brown,
Yes.
Madam Chair. Unanimous. An ordinance repealing ordinance number 09-202 and 15-17 regulating door-to-door peddlers, solicitors, transient merchants, and outdoor vendors within the city limits of the city of Greenwood, establishing a permit fee and credit.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Water Commission ordinance amending ordinance number 12-10 adopting an increase in sewer rates, second reading. Mr. Bradley, do you want to address or be here, or Mr. Cross, or whoever is available?
Well, I can remember much about it. Hopefully y'all have the rate sheet in front of you. I don't have one with me. Thank you very much. Glad y'all have that.
That's why I voted no last time, because I had never seen it. So that's fine.
Okay, let me explain why we need the rate sheet. We took some debt on about a year and a half ago to build some water towers. And the bond salesman came to us, and he was asked, can we pay for this out of our city sales tax money? And the answer was, yes, you can. And he did not, what he said was technically true. But in the fine print, section 13 of fine print back in the back, it said that our water and sewer revenues had to be 110% of our total debt service. And although we have plenty of money, ample money to pay it with our city sales newspaper principal, we don't meet the debt covenants, and that creates a potential problem for us. The sewer rate increase will get us to where we meet that, and that's why we did it. Any other questions?
Should we list an effective date of this new rate in this ordinance?
Can. Probably, we got one more reading, should be the second reading. So I guess we plan on going into effect in May.
Go ahead and just say here it's May 1st, 2020. So when somebody's researching this 10 years from now and saying, it'll be in effect, they'll say it.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a good idea to me.
The reason why it's not in there is because we don't know how many readings it'll take and how long it'll go. So,
If for the third, we got one more reading, we could just go ahead and make it May 1st.
If you would table it, you're gonna have a hard number in there. You don't really need the hard number in there, but you understand the reason for that bond covenant issue. It's not just for a paper trail, it's that the bond company can affect your direct bond rating.
Right, sure.
Okay, that's all loans for the city. So it's hugely important that he meets that covenant.
So you mean not just for this one, but any loan going forward?
It affects the city's bond.
City,
rating.
yeah.
I'll make a motion to put this on for the second reading by title only.
Second.
Have a motion and second to put on, place on for, second reading, title only.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Meeker?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Daniel?
Yes.
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Unanimous. An ordinance adopting an increase in sewer rates, repealing ordinance 12-10 and for other purposes.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Number 4, city clerk, ordinance adjusting city clerk salary, emergency passage. This is do it every year.
Well, every year that the council gives me a raise,
Right,
gives a
right,
raise to
right.
the city clerk's salary, and I appreciate it very much. State law says we have to establish that law ordinance, so here we are. That's why I asked for it to be emergency passage. So that,
Questions, comments?
I'll make a motion we adopt this with first reading by title only.
Second.
Have a motion to adopt first reading, title only.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Meeker?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Daniel?
Yes.
Tim Terry? It's unanimous. An ordinance repealing and replacing ordinance number 19-04 and amending ordinance number 16-09 establishing the salary and regulating expected work hours and benefits for the elected city clerk treasurer for the city of Greenwood, declaring an emergency.
Make a motion to waive second and third readings.
Second.
Motion second to waive second and third readings.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Meeker?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Daniel?
Yes.
Tim Terry?
Yes.
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
It's unanimous.
I'll make a motion we adopt the emergency clause.
Second.
Have a motion second to adopt emergency clause.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Meeker?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Daniel?
Yes.
Tim Terry?
Yes.
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, we need to adopt that, sorry.
I'll make a mo- I second.
We didn't adopt the ordinance, we enacted an emergency clause. I think is what you're saying.
Right. You have a motion and a second?
Yes.
Okay. To adopt.
Who made the motion?
I believe Mr. Brown made the motion and Mr. Powell made the second.
Second.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Meeker?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Daniel?
Yes.
Tim Terry?
Yes.
Mr. I appreciate it.
Thank you, gentlemen. The next item on the agenda is resolution supporting 1.5% sales tax and use tax for state highways. It's a resolution that was given to all mayors in the state of Arkansas, encouraged by the governor of our great state for the cities to be supportive of this issue. Hopefully in your packet, I do believe in your packet, you have a copy of the resolution, plus a copy you should have a sheet in your packet with this on it. There's a one sheet with the cover, the front cover of this book, and then it should have a, next to it, it's a copy of Sebastian County savings.
Are you talking about this?
Yes, that is correct. What it would cost the city or the county if this did not pass. And that's pretty self-explanatory. This is a pretty handy book. It's got all the counties and all the cities within those counties for everybody to look at and take a quick glance at, see what the cost to that city and or county would be. So I can't seem to get to Sebastian for some reason, so there it is.
Again, Mayor, this is just a continuation.
That is
not an
correct.
Increase.
Yes, sir. This is very, very close to and near to the heart of Tom and I, because this almost mirrors the bond issue that we just passed, the Citizen Greenwood just passed, extending a tax that is already in existence to do more work for. And as you can see, Sebastian County would lose, where am I? Budget lost annually, Sebastian would lose $991,836. Greenwood would lose $208,638. But this was not voted into. So it's very similar to the way it was written, and they're just extending what's already there. So what we would be doing by passing the resolution is to say that we are supportive of this as a city.
We wouldn't be losing this money, we just would receive this.
Correct. Right, so you put that wrong. Yeah, that's right.
The citizens passing it, we're gonna end up with another $208,000 in Greenwood.
Right. Right.
And the counties will end up with close to $1 million.
Right.
Make a motion to adopt the resolution.
Seconded.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Tim Terry?
Yes.
McDaniel?
Yes.
Terry? Unanimous.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a radio tower discussion. I know Lady Chief Dawson is here to help, and Officer Pittman, are you here for the same reason, maybe?
I'm here.
A little support, okay.
That's not what's in
Pardon?
That's not what's new.
Is it not? I'm so sorry. I just checked, I'm doing my check marks too quick. Sorry, you need to come up anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is Sebastian County Interlocal Agreement for Non-Emergency Services, sorry. And you're maybe here for support for that too. Bless you. So this is the same interlocal agreement that we have been looking at, as you know, for quite some time. The most recent meeting and discussion that I have had with Chief Dawson and Chief Ryan, including Sheriff Runyon, Judge Hudson, I think that, and Jeff Turner with Emergency Services here in City Hall. We had a discussion about it, and they came back to explain. Again, my point of that meeting was to get these guys in front of those guys to say, tell us what this means exactly, and for them to be able to ask, to tell them their issues, and they did. I think it was a productive meeting. It wasn't, I mean, that's what it was for. Now, what I did suggest, and I'll just go ahead and say, I guess, I suggested a meeting for the council in the four courts to get together, and that didn't seem like it was going to work out very well, and there's a lot of issues, not a lot, but you have to make sure that you do it publicly and all that, so it was just a hard uphill battle. So we did the best we could, not behind doors, just without the council being there, because you guys all have to be there at the same time. You can't do one or two at a time. So I've asked Chief to come and give his opinion on this, as he has before. They did extend, that meeting did conclude with an extension, if you will, of they weren't, March 1st was not the deadline. They decided to give another month because they knew we were meeting, and Hackett is the other city that has held out, if you will, on this. I don't know where they stand now. Did they? Okay. I thought they were going to. I had a couple of conversations with the mayor on the phone. So, and that's not to say that there's pressure there. That's still your decision to make. And you already have voted it? No. But I think in light of maybe not new information, but information that has been presented to the chief and back and forth, I wanted him to be here and you guys to have a chance to take a look at it again. So, Chief, if you want.
I think some of the concerns that we all had as far as oversight. I think that was answered by the sheriff with us talking to him. He was presented with 3 complaints that I told you about the last meeting, and within a few days they were addressed, and he called me personally. Oversight for the 911 commission that the judge couldn't promise, but said if we're a paying party that we most likely would have a seat at the table. Things are going forward as far as consolidation. I think that's going to happen. Seems like both parties, not sure about the EMS, but I think the sheriff's department, Fort Smith are on board for consolidation, and I think it's a good idea. I know even before the sheriff got elected, him and I spoke, and he told me before then he was for it. He does obviously have some issues as far as turnover that he addressed, and he assured me that their training, the level, the standard they're going to be held to, obviously, for paying for a product. He knows that there's a route for us to complain if there is issues. As far as, the guys, nothing has changed. The Border Patrol guys, with the county guys, I don't think anything's missed a beat there, but I do know that starting tomorrow morning, if we don't approve this tonight, that there's no one to talk to, talk to ourselves. But as far as making traffic stops, we have no one to check out with. We can't create our own dispatch, and you know what that cost would be. So absolutely, positively, we need it passed to ensure the safety of our officers, as well as to be able to communicate with people to get help for us outside of our department. I'm not sure what other issues I can try to answer any questions you have, but I myself obviously didn't agree with it first, but I think the way the judge broke it down as far as double tax and this and that, it was a little easier to understand. I think just the initial presentation will cause some hesitation. Obviously, it's another service we have to pay for. I don't like, I know you don't like, and it's about spending the taxpayers' money the best we can and being responsible with it. I think this is a great service. I mean, we looked at even hiring people to answer phones after hours. There was, Rick Gabbard created a chart that showed what that would cost. Basically, there's an issue between when does that non-mercy call turn to a mercy call, and it's just so much headache, even if we went with Fort Smith when that was proposed, that there's issues that were brought up that I didn't think about, but the county is our backup, primary backup, and Fort Smith doesn't have the manpower to back themselves up, let alone to come down here and back us up. The county is always quick to back us up, and we're surely quick to back them up, and it's been that way for a very long time. I can remember when I first started, there'd be one Greenwood officer and one county deputy out, and we basically handled the whole county. I'd back him and he'd back me. But we don't have a choice. I do have faith that they will get things straightened out, get the people they need, and get them hired. They are short right now, but they're working to correct that. Having 2 more bodies will help that. Hopefully get them trained and to stay. Like I said, they do have a turnover issue. I couldn't tell you the name of too many dispatchers up there, and I think Jeff even admitted to that in our meeting, but I think they've got to get some issues addressed as far as pay to keep people, which, we all have those issues, but we need them, they need us, and I'd appreciate it if you give this a second thought on passing it. Otherwise, we're putting our employees at great risk by not having someone to call if we're in trouble.
I'm gonna spur the horse right out of the box. I didn't have a problem with it to begin with. Even when I asked the chief about whether they were, whether it was gonna affect the deal, and you kept saying, well, it's not gonna affect us, but apparently it is. My whole deal with the whole thing is, because I would never do anything to jeopardize those guys that are working with it. When we're paying $30,000 a year, my whole gripe is why couldn't they give us something, hey, we're gonna give you a 1-year contract, because we don't know what's it gonna be next year. The judge is terrible about not giving us a flat number, even like the mental health thing we did. We basically, as Rod likes to say, we gave him a blank check. This deal, yes, we gotta have R enough, period. I mean, it's, any way y'all want to dissect it, it's not, I mean, they gotta have this match, period, to do their job. But, Mayor, why can't they say, all right, because like he was saying, there was decisions to be made with the turnover, this and that. You know, if we're gonna be paying for it, we ought to have some say in that. That's in the whole thing,
We
just,
will. We will.
You
That
know what I'm
was,
saying?
that was emphasized in the last meeting.
and just like when they did us in 2006 with the, when we went to the, y'all had to go to the Avon radios, police department, go to the Avon radios. It was November 22nd, 2006, you either go to A-Wins or y'all ain't gonna be able to talk to nobody. I mean, there was no communication and no, so here we go, we borrowed the money to do that. And that's the biggest thing. I'll pay if it's the 90,000 we gotta pay, because these guys gotta have their dispatch. It's just, we need some kind of clarification that we're gonna have a little stake in the game, so that whenever they do decide to upgrade to the radio system, well, everybody's on board, and we're not having to go out and buy a bunch of junk that don't work.
I hear you, this was a main part of our discussion in this meeting that we had in that conference room back there. And also both chiefs and I attended a meeting that was a little, not really what I thought it was about, it was more about, which is a good step, by the way, the county entered into a contract, voted to the board, the 911 board, voted to enter into the contract to hire a consultant to look into unified dispatch.
Right.
So things are starting to happen.
That's good.
So that was that meeting, that's what that was for. It was kind of interesting and almost humorous, I'm not sure the judge thought it was funny, but as we entered that room, they were lined up and the board members of 911 were sitting kind of like, just at a table. Well, I just went over to visit with a couple of them and the meeting began and I was encouraged just to sit down right there and I said, well, I don't think so, this is the board. So I immediately had a seat at the table, although not invited. It was kind of, but anyway, we were encouraged more in the meeting that was here that that's going to happen. I don't have a document to say.
That's what I'm saying though, but I just.
But the presentation of it was wrong. It was bad. It was
because
the beginning of it was not
we're
good.
jumping into this deal because, like I say, I'll say it again. It didn't have a problem. It's just we don't have any skin in the game.
Well,
And then, all right, we're gonna give 30,000 this year. Well, what's to say they come back next year and want 50?
well, and there is nothing to say that they might. Now I'm only saying that to say that anything can happen.
Right.
And as they're looking into the the unified dispatch, that conversation was like, we don't know how this is going to look yet. I mean, there may be more fees to come along. I mean, I don't doubt for a second that there's going to be more asked of us and the other 10 cities or 9 cities.
To Lance's point, we're being asked to pay 44.5% of this bill.
Right.
We don't have 44.5% of the representation of this,
Yeah, that's.
the way it gets spent. You know, I mean,
Well,
that's
if
about.
you have a seat at the table, and I know,
You
again,
know, I mean, that's what, I mean, I could get, but we gotta have something in writing that satisfies us that we got a pretty good.
all I can say is,
They took out the raise part of that, if you remember, there
Yeah,
was
they
some
did.
raises in there.
all I can say is that I personally, and as a mayor, and trusting the judge in this, yes, that's true. That's one elected official trusting another elected official. That's
Also in
true.
the beginning, we received that list of things we were gonna lose, but I don't think we really knew exactly what that was, and that was what that
Right.
meeting was for.
So I wanna ask about that. I mean, what we heard for 3 or 4 months of how long was basically what it boiled down to is what we don't get. If we don't participate in this, what you lose is after hours.
Well, that's what that list made it look like, but we were losing more than that. Our ability to check out on traffic, the actual dispatch portion, the list made it sound like they just weren't gonna answer our calls after hours, and everything else we could have handled. I mean, we run our own driver's license check on our computers, or.
Well, I think for all of us, we can handle after hours if we have to go buy a cell phone and give it to the on-duty officer. But if something escalates from a non-emergency to, I need help, you know, if it's an officer needing help, that's an emergency.
Right.
And that,
I would like,
changes the
let me
game.
recognize a couple, let me get this rounded, but you, if you would, and because I gotta get everybody to do it, if you'd come forward and just
Yeah.
state.
I read the law.
Wait, I'm sorry. Just state your name real quick so we have you on record.
I read the law,
Your
and
name.
when I read it,
Ms. Brown, if you state your name and address, that's all.
Kimberly Brown, 12030 Highway 96 Greenwich.
Thank you.
I read the law today, tell me if I'm wrong. We have 127 point of services in this 75 county of the state of Arkansas. The law says as of January 2022, it will not pay for any more than 77. So we are going to cut that down, period, because that's what the law says, right? Because they're saying that we are duplicating services, so Sebastian County is already going to
That's what they're.
consolidate. It's the law by January 22, correct?
Yes.
50 million? Am I trying to remember the first? 50 million is what it costs to run 911 for the state, right? Or
That's their
$500.
portion that they pay towards dispatch fees for each, what they spread out. to-
Over the whole state.
Right.
They brought in half of that with the 65 cents tax. Doubling that will create twice as much. So my question as a citizen, like you're saying with the tax, it feels like I'm getting double taxed. Because that 65 cents went to $1.30. Per cell phone, per month.
Well, they
Per
say that
household
they
phone.
don't know what the cell phone is gonna bring in.
Well, they put the numbers in the, what, they put the numbers in the law, what I read today. And it showed,
It covers
It does.
911. There are certain things that money can pay for and what it can't.
right, it broke it down in the law. If you read the law, it tells you how much percent goes to paperwork, how much percent is going to the state for 911.
Right.
But the bottom line is, they're saying they're consolidating to 77 because of duplicate services
Right.
by January 22, which is 19 months away. So that was my concern. It feels like as a citizen, I am getting taxed. I also feel like we're asking Greenwood to pay for, like Barling, who's got more calls, that they're not required to pay as much.
They're going off of population.
And if you read your thing that I read, this amount that you're being charged, the 27,000, 28,000, 29,000, definitely will go up on the census because it's really based on the census. So it is going to go up. And it also says in your paperwork that they're giving you the lowest amount for the salaries, but they will go in there and the committee will decide what the salaries and benefits are, correct?
I think the last we were given, we were told that's the number it's gonna be. We don't have to pay benefits, they're covering the benefits, we're paying FEMA or
So you have,
something.
it's in the ordinance.
It's in the ordinance, it says it's going up.
That's my point, though, that
No.
if they start doing salaries different than this, we ought to have, be able, if we're gonna help pay for this, we ought to have representation there to help.
We will.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's the whole thing.
Well, the other
For me.
thing I have here, you know, is that in section, item 3, or whatever, it says that, you know, this agreement should be ongoing and perpetual. Again, I don't know if it was Lance or Danny said, you know, why don't we just do a year at a time? Instead of saying this is going to be an ongoing and perpetual, and like, to me, that's a lifetime
Yep.
commitment.
It's got a clause in
We
there.
have
that
it
says
now,
you
we
can
have
cancel.
we have a 6-month written out.
Is that what we have with the CSU, a 6 month?
I don't know.
We got those 30 days.
But if you look at where I just read it,
Yes, I saw the 6 month.
okay. So you have it now, it's not that you don't. And again, I'm just telling you, and he's a county judge, and I'm not his political campaign manager, but he is a county judge, and I just don't see county judge or this association, this group, cheating us. I don't care for it, I don't like $28,000 coming out of the budget for it, but we've been not having to pay. Anytime you start paying for something that you've been getting for free all your life, it's kind of a hard swallow. It's hard to take.
We're not getting it free though, Mayor.
We've never paid for it before.
Well, sure you have.
Specific-
I just sent out what the county sales tax, or, we're paying.
But you didn't know where that money,
1.5%.
but it doesn't say where it was going specifically.
But are we as a city, we charge 2%, and we're required to live within our budget for the services we provide to the citizens. And we can only do so much with what we have coming in. We have to make those decisions. This is what we can provide.
When we decide we can't, and we're going into a direction that we don't want to go, what do? We propose a sewer rate increase. We propose a bond issue to pay for our road because we don't have that. I mean, they're going to go out and try to get it wherever they can, and we're it. We're those people. I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying, I know what you're saying.
I agree with what you said too, because we had to make those hard decisions to say,
Right.
we're going to have to increase city sales tax to cover,
Correct.
expenses that the city's incurring. And so, to me, if that's what the county says, hey, we're running short, then they need to put it on the ballot to say, instead of kind of, to me, coming in the back door to raise taxes, they need to put it out there on the ballot and say, hey, is this going to pass or not? Just like we did kind of with the EMS services.
But that would be like us, the city, going to the court, telling them how to go about their business, how they get their money. And I'm with you, I understand. But they have the option of either going to the cities that are within the county first. And if that doesn't work, then they can't put it on the ballot. I assure you, there will be something on the ballot in the next year or two, if not more, sooner, regarding the jail issue in Sebastian County, right? That's coming. So as if I was the judge or the court member, I would have to be considering all of these things and decide which one am I going to ask the city for and which one am I going to go to the citizens for. That's just, I'm not saying that's what their plan is, but.
I don't know why they'd ask the citizens for it. You just ask the cities and say, well, you can't use our jail.
Well, then they could.
That's what we're going down, right?
I guess they have that ability.
Absolutely.
I want to be clear though, Chief, of what are we getting or not getting that we need? Because our understanding, my understanding, I'll speak for myself, at the end of the last meeting was this all had to do with non-emergency. It was after hours. And then the next morning, 4029, there's a story that we've placed people's lives at risk by not voting for this.
No, the story went, if I may say it, the story, that was my.
It wasn't about risk.
It was about risk, as far as I was concerned, and I made that clear in 4029 as I was being interviewed, that my concern was what he just said himself, if a non-emergency situation can turn into an emergency situation, then they're dealing with it. And the county has never said we're not helping you. I'm just saying, if that's the situation, I think I would like, if it's okay with council, to acknowledge Officer Pittman to address some of that. Because he's out there, he's in the patrol car, obviously Chief is too. But is that fair, or are you okay with it?
I'm okay with it.
Okay, so if you don't mind, just come up and.
But the one thing, just before you say that, I guess the sheriff emphasized to us, maybe the judge and the sheriff, have emphasized over and over, this is about non-emergency.
Right.
The list was hard to understand. I didn't get out of it that we're not going to cover you if you're checking out somewhere. But it was clearly expressed to us in that meeting.
Okay, good.
If you remember when this was first brought up, my first question was, if you check out a traffic stop and stuff goes bad, are they gonna check 1050, or are you gonna be able to your life? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So that was from the very get-go. I mean, that's my whole point right now. If Eric and them are out on a traffic stop and everything goes south and they try to make radio traffic and they can't get out because we don't have dispatch and somebody gets hurt, then we got a problem. I get it. Bottom line is we can dissect it, we can argue about it all we want to. All I think that we need in the deal is some representation, so at the end of the day, we're not getting another big fat bill next year for $75,000, and then we can have a little say in the equipment that gets bought and the raises that gets dished out. If we can be guaranteed that, I mean, that's my whole deal. I mean, I'm just saying, check it out on a traffic stop and he can't get out, and then I don't care if it's at noon or 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, he's got to be able to get out, period. You know, and if he hadn't been able to run the tag or call the tag in, and they won't go and acknowledge it, well, he's SOL.
He's at risk.
Mayor, Police Chief, could you expound upon the discussion of the unified dispatch, what the discussion was. So the state has said that we're going to do, they're going to make you do some consolidation because we've got too many competing, and of course it's bad government, you know, to have people doing this. So what is that? And you said something about a consultant being hired to look at.
Yeah, truly that meeting that we attended, now either chief can correct me a little bit, huh?
I talked to him.
Come on up. And as far as what I got out of it, and I want you to, before chief starts, Sergeant, is it Sergeant?
Yes.
Okay, but yes, it was about entering into a contract, not us, but them, to hire a consultant to dissect, if you will, and look and see what that means by I keep saying unified dispatch. Does that answer?
Well, I guess it's the general attitude, this is the way that everybody wants to go.
Everybody there on that board voted unanimous. And by the way, that board consists of mayor. There's a mayor on there, not because he's a mayor, but because it's Gary Lawrence from Huntington, and the rest of them are all police. He's the fire. But wait a minute, hold it. Because before you go 911, I want him to talk about the local. Sorry, thank you.
Just going to kind of talk about the non-emergency going into an emergency situation. Kind of like what he was talking about is if we're running our traffic, we're going to be having to check out with each other at that point if we're no longer on Sebastian County's dispatch channel. So we do have a built-in Greenwood PD channel that we could talk to each other on. Also, we have the cell phone that I know has been discussed and everything of that nature. But kind of where we see as patrolmen, where we see the issue is, all right, hey, I'm calling my partner, and I'm on a traffic stop. So he knows, hey, he's out at Center Denver. Well, the cell phone now rings. My other officer knows I'm on a traffic stop. He doesn't know what I'm dealing with, so he just takes a call, and now he's over in Creekwood. Okay, well now I'm in a fight on the side of the road. He's inside a house, he's not gonna hear me. Sebastian County more than likely is not gonna hear me because I'm operating on the Greenwood PD channel. They don't monitor that channel now, so I really don't see that issue resolving at all because it's a talk around channel is basically what that is. And just about 2 weeks ago, I got a phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning. One of my officers had been injured. He sustained a concussion and 10 staples in the back of his head. And an abrasion on the front of his head as well. It went for Sebastian County Dispatch, being able to respond and tell everybody where he was at. I would have two officers fighting a combative subject and bench one with a concussion. And not really, I mean, he stayed in the fight. I could have been more proud of him. But, I mean, he was hurt. And, you know, the Sebastian County deputies heard him say, I'm in a foot pursuit. You know, so they were able to come. So, you know, there was a knife found at the scene. I don't know if that was his or not. We were never really able to determine that. Without Sebastian County and us being able to relay our traffic, not just to us, but to the county deputies, we've been on call. I mean, I know it's hard to believe, but I've been here 10 years. I've been a part of, you know, 5 different shootings, 2 of them in the city limits of Greenwood. If we don't have the help of Sebastian County, one night I had officers from all the way from Mansfield and from Barling coming, all because we were linked together, you know, and I know that you guys have to take the financial, and that it must be taken, and you know, you're spending taxpayers' money. I don't know the answer to it, but that's where, as an officer who's on the street, you know, these are our livelihoods, like these keep us alive. You know, I'm on a non-emergency call, next thing you know, I'm fighting a guy in his bathroom. It's happened. Well, it's no longer a non-emergency. Well, if I'm needing help and the other officer's tied up, or better yet, he's in Sebastian County Jail, there is nobody that's gonna hear me fighting this guy. No one. So I'm gonna fight by myself with somebody that's possibly high, wanting to hurt me. And it's me and him. So that's just something, you know, I hope that's brought into consideration. I know it is, because, I mean, I think, you know, it's a great city, but I do understand the financial part of it. That's kind of our end of being able to talk to somebody, talk to a dispatcher in Sebastian County. So you guys got the questions, I mean, I'll do that answer. I didn't know I was going to talk tonight, but.
You're great. Can I just say one thing about that? I don't think nobody on this panel, whatever we are going to do anything that's going to endanger you guys, one of our citizens. I think it's absolutely crucial that we have this system where everybody's connected together. I think what we're having a hard time swallowing is that we have these issues, the 911, what will that create? This combination, how will that work? What are these going to do? Here's 44% of the bill that we demand you pay, or we're flipping the switch. Of what bill? We don't,
Well, I'd say
we don't
that
fully understand what we're signing up for, I think, to Lance's.
well, sure, to me, the judge or the sheriff has never come down and said, okay, this is what we were getting from our portion of 911 calls. And here's what we're expecting to get now that the fees have been doubled. Because I would expect that a double fee is there's going to be some type of increase that they're going to be receiving. You know, I mean, why did they, double the amount on every cell phone, that's being, being billed? They're doubling the fee on that. They're increasing the fees on, pre-call cell phones, which they weren't, quite collecting and stuff. And so it shows that they have increased fees, but yet we're not being shared with that, how this is what it was costing, or what we were getting in revenue. This is what we're expecting to get in revenue, but yet we're still short. And so we need still a little more additional money. To me, they're not being open to us. And again, the judge, sheriff has never come back down here to try to answer those questions. Now, Chief, you said that they did address the issue about double taxation. How did they address that?
The mayor heard it also, but,
Thank you, sir.
well, I hate to say how he started off.
Chief,
It has to do with the turn back. We get a portion, county gets a portion, all the other cities get a portion. And so they're saying it's coming out, the portion they get is what they take care of dispatch with. And that's what they're using for dispatch. It's the same amount that, like, we get so much from the state. It's cut around the state for, Fort Smith gets a big chunk, we get a small chunk, and then all the others, and then the county gets the rest.
That's for insurance
And
turnbacks.
so that's what, I believe that's what he was telling us. He said, it's not something in addition to, he said it's their portion of what the cities also get.
To spread out.
I understand insurance turnbacks, but now this is 911 fees. Do we get any kind of fee for 911?
We don't have a,
We don't,
we don't have a
we're not the 911 board people. And that's the
So-
thing, that's the thing, they see, we've been left out of the 911 situation because we don't have any money in it. There's no we've never had money in it. Fort Smith has all the money in it, and the county has all the money in it. And that's why you have a Fort Smith dispatch system, you have a county dispatch, then you have the medical. And so what's happening right now is, for the first time, the Fort Smith fire chief and police chief, and the city administrator, the county sheriff, the county judge, have all got on the same page and said, okay, we have this new law coming, and we're gonna have to address at some point of having one dispatch point. Now, I don't know if everybody's gonna do that. I mean, I think some people are gonna fight the law, because I can see Springdale and Fayetteville and Bentonville and all of them being on one dispatch with such large areas.
I almost lose the nerves.
I mean, that those humongous areas to be saying, we're gonna have one dispatch. They may figure out how to do it, but Fort Smith, Sebastian County, I can see that happening. And so they're addressing that by getting a company to come in. I think $36,000 is what they're gonna pay for this company to come in and evaluate how they can mesh everything together and everything be state-of-the-art for all of us. Fire included. CAD system for fire, everything that is not offered to us now will be included in this new system. And Chief Richardson spoke up on the fire side saying, I want to make sure the county fire departments have the same thing. Now, if this happens, they're going to be coming to the city of Greenwood saying, we're going to need you to help pay for this, because Fort Smith, Greenwood, all the different cities will be included in this one system. We have never had a seat at the table because we have never had funds into the 911 system, because I've always asked, well, why don't we have a representation on the 911 board? It's the county that has money going into it, and the city. And so that's the only people they had on there. I think the county representative is Gary Lawrence.
Yes.
From the south part of the county. And then if you look at the board, it's Tim Hearn from EMS, it's Chief Christensen, it's the other, it's basically everybody that has money going out of their budgets into that system. And so if this changes into a countywide, and they're wanting it to be under no discipline, it's gonna be something that's run by, it's gonna be a
administrator.
it's gonna have its own administration, fire, police, or EMS, it'll be the 911, kind of like a 911 board. And they're probably gonna come to us and say, hey, we're gonna need so much to help run this unified dispatching system, because to make it state of the art, everybody's gonna have to put some money into it. And that's when we put our feet down and say, we gotta have representation. But right now, we really can't scream representation, except for this 29,000, because before we don't have any dog in the fight besides we're getting it for free. We're kind of getting it for free.
No, we're not getting it for
Well,
free.
as a city, we are. As citizens in the county, we're not getting it for free because we're paying our county, we pay our county taxes. But as a city, we're getting it for free.
We pay our county taxes, we pay that $1.30 for each, and they're telling me that there's not more cell phones than there are landlines when they were established.
I'm just trying to tell you,
Okay.
what we were told at 2 different board meetings. I mean, everybody's like, man, crap, you get it for free. And you're asking them about $29,000. And I hate to say it, but I mean, I thought it was kind of like them before. And we talked about it. We thought it was just going to be something to where if we got rid of this 29, it wasn't going to affect them much. But after having a sit-down meeting, they start saying, well, it's going to affect this, this, and this. Next thing you know, he's like, well, crap, that's affecting everything, except for that one emergency. So, as Officer Pippin said, when his little call to go check out somebody's welfare turns into a fight in the bathroom, he's not going to be hooked up until he can get out and say, hey, now it's an emergency.
It wasn't going to affect that until we voted it down.
So,
I
The
agree.
rules changed once they saw we weren't going to give them 30 grand.
you could be right.
I'm 100%.
You could be right.
I agree.
I'm just trying to explain what we all heard in the meeting, and I know you guys are tired of hearing us talk about it.
Because the sheriff did come down here a long time ago and explain this to us originally, and nothing was ever said about checking out a traffic stop, losing that. He plainly said, I haven't pulled the minutes up, but it was going to be non-emergency. Well, a traffic stop, obviously considered an emergency.
The list has not changed. The list that was put in the thing to begin with, which I didn't know what those things are. I'm not about to sit here and tell you I know what's the letters, those things. Yeah, that's list.
Running.
So that list has not changed.
Updating stuff into NCIC.
Well, main thing, I just want to let y'all know what their plan for the future is, and maybe two or 3 years down the road, or maybe sooner than that. But the unified dispatch, everybody in the county, the city's on board with that, but I guarantee it's going to probably come back and cost us some money, because
Said they had to have it done by 22, right?
I don't have.
January 22.
That's just a year and
Unless they fight the
10
law.
months away.
Unless they find it, but I imagine most people are for it because that's the way it needs to be. But as I said, I can't see Springdale, Rogers, and Bentonville all be on the exact same system since they're all in Washington
I'm
County.
paying my fair share on the unified dispatch, but why do I need to pay this one redundant system in this patchwork of dispatches? Why do I need to be extorted to pay this one?
I don't know, it doesn't affect us.
It's just
but I'm
because
worried
that's
about
what we
their
have
safety.
and we need to do it now because we need dispatch now, right?
I'm worried about their
So
safety. That's
you're
all.
you're saying that if we had to vote for this CSU unit, because there's something need to be done. And so that was something that we're going to have to help, so we decided to do that, even though it's kind of a blank check. So now they come to us, here's another fee. Now I heard them say, oh, well, now it's going to be the county jail system. That's going to be another fee. So once our coffers start running out of money, what's our resource? Can we just, can we as 6 members up here just say, hey, we need to rate, charge everybody in the city agreement a fee?
Well, isn't there-
Can you?
Isn't there 6 months
Yeah.
you can get out of it?
Okay.
Don't you have a little
Yeah,
6
you got
months
6
thing you
months
can
out.
get out of it?
Well, it's 6 months, yeah, you have to get out of it, but I mean, but still, where's the, our citizens here are paying taxes, and they're paying 2% to run the city's, business. And they're also paying 1.25 for the county. And you're expecting some services from the county for that. And so, you know, again, I kind of look here on the county-wide things, you know, the county sales tax is different in every county based on their needs and stuff. And so I'm thinking, you know, if the county's, you know, running out of, you know, funds, you know, just like we had to come up with a tough decision. Nobody here wanted to raise taxes for the city of Greenwood. We wanted to keep it, you know, low like it was. But, you know, we said, we've got to do this in order for us to pay our bills.
Which is the same thing they're doing.
And so the judge, like he already did with the EMS system, he said, hey, we got to do it, so we got to take it to the citizens to vote.
That's what that's what
They
I
have
said.
representation on this. And so that's what he needs to take. It says, if we're running out of money, we need more money, whether it's for the county jail or for everything else. We need to put it on the ballot so that all of us vote.
Okay, here's what I'd like to do, because this is the same discussion we've had for the last 3 to 4 months. I need to call for a vote to see what you want to do. I've heard from both ends, and I sincerely believe it, that you are concerned about the safety of our police department. Our police department has stood and told you that that is a concern of theirs, and their safety relies on this passage. All those things that we don't like are not going away. So we either vote it in and pass it to ensure their safety, or you don't. Yes, sir.
This is a budget financial neutral.
Yes.
It's already
in the budget.
So it's not a money issue right this year. It might be in the future, but if 6 months from now you decide you don't want this and you want to opt out, you better have a backup plan. Don't wait until you say, I want to opt out, and then start putting one together.
I asked you to do this, approve it, this go around, we have a year till obviously it comes back around for next budget. And they should have their cell phone amounts in, and it's something else we can bring to them. I'm just saying what they told me, that they don't know what those amounts are gonna be. I don't know if they're published, if she said they're published, I haven't seen those published. But I do know that we need them, and as much as, I mean, I went to this meeting, I brought up some ideas, like making it mandatory all these cities go to computers. That would obviously help them out with their manpower. There's things I suggested, and they are very firm on, they're ready to move on with or without us.
I think there's a lot of frustrations here, and I think in part, it's this, I mean, part of it's the unknown. Part of it, Mayor, to the point you just made though, is we have not sat here for 4 months feeling like we're gonna place anyone at risk, okay? You know, we haven't heard what we heard tonight. That
I beg your pardon, I explained this exact scenario that you heard from these 2 officers myself.
But that's not how it was understood though. It's what Lynn said earlier. If you check out on a call, you know, they're gonna answer.
The list was vague, I think, as far as what we were actually losing. There's no doubt about
And
that.
I'm not blaming anybody here. What I'm getting at, the point is,
It wasn't vague at all. It was pretty, I thought it was pretty on spot on. But it's changed.
I mean, I think part of the frustration is, again, knowing what we're signing up for. It took 4 months of meetings to get here before we all feel like we have this understanding that we have at the moment. You know what I mean? That shouldn't have been taken that long. I think the mayor should have a lot of say based on the percentage that we're paying. He should carry a lot of weight in the conversations. And I don't feel like he's been given the hammer he should have.
Because we have not paid it. Once we pay it, I think the judge is clear. I'm not trying to speak for you, but it is clear. Once you have skin in the game, meaning money, then you have to say so.
Just so we know, on Roman numeral 3 of this interlocal agreement, it says that the rate of this shall be ongoing and perpetual, based upon the respective municipal government's need for radio dispatching.
Yes, but if you will look, that is correct, but it addresses on somewhere
I know
else
there's an opt-out.
that you got to opt out.
I know that. But I'm just saying, so people will know. I wouldn't have any problem with this if it was a 1-year deal.
But I understand, but it's
And
not.
then we'll revisit.
But it's not. You have what you have before you is what they're offering.
So in 6 months, when they get these 911 numbers from cell phones, there's supposed to be this windfall of cash. I haven't stayed up on it, but supposedly they're doubling or something, and it's gonna be, you think they're gonna come to us and say, boys, we ended up with 35 million, we don't need your.
Nope, I do not. It wouldn't be any different than when we pass a sewer rate and we decide all of a sudden that our sewer cost is down, and we're gonna go to the citizens and say, we're pulling back that sewer rate.
That was talked about.
I know, but
What,
it can be.
or the other thing, on the other side of that, Mayor,
My opinion.
if we raised, trash rates, we said, okay, we wanna raise trash rates, and then we come back, trash rates, can't say it very well, but we come back, you know, after we tell them, we're gonna have to increase rates, and then we come back and say, oh, but they're also, we need y'all to pay just an extra, $5 just because, something came up, and even though we haven't even gotten the money from the rate increase yet.
If the rates go up from cards, we will have the option, two options. One, we soak it up ourselves, not the correct terminology, or two, we go back to citizens and say, now we have to raise your rate.
Okay,
That's business. I don't know
Well,
why.
sure, that's business, and so we gotta go back and say, we gotta raise your rates, and so either the county says, hey, we're paying 1.25, so, is it, are we gonna vote for a tax without representation? I think.
I have done the best I can to guarantee you without a written document that you're gonna have documentation, you will have representation. I don't know what else to tell you.
I'm thinking, there again, I'm kind of passing on a tax without the citizens voting for it.
But that's not our call, Mr. Brown. It was the
Yeah,
county.
right here's my call, I'm representing.
I'm gonna ask for either a motion, or we move on and table it, or forget it, go on, that's what I'm asking.
Bottom line, guys, we got to decide tonight whether we're going to have dispatch in the city agreement or not.
That's
So,
correct. Nobody likes it, and there is a tremendous lot of unknowns. And the 911 is a huge, tremendous unknown as that moves forward. The good news is they're moving with it. They are
I'm going
starting.
to make the motion, we approve the, pay money.
Approve the agreement as presented?
Would you entertain me amending that for the year 2020 only?
That is what Hackett did. is they
Yeah, that's
approved it for
fine.
one
We
year.
still pay. I mean, these guys need
We're
dispatch.
paying it for 1 year, and they've got the incentive to make this work
Right.
at the end of that year.
Which
it
is
goes
what the chief
away.
asked.
Would you take that amendment?
Yeah, I'm all for that. Make that
Approve
amendment.
this
yeah.
for 1 year?
Yes.
So remove that ongoing and perpetual, whatever, is that right?
We're amending it.
We're just saying we're going to pay it for this next full year until time to get organized.
We're just,
We're not gonna sign it until they take it
I'll
off.
second the motion with that amendment.
The language and note it for
And
1
that's
year.
December 31st, not March.
Is that what they did by taking it out, or did they just ask for amendment to it as it reads? I mean, I know.
No, what Hackett did is they just voted to do it for a period of 1 year.
Right.
And I don't know that you really need to take that out perpetual, because you're
Okay.
telling them right now,
That's-
you've got 1 year instead of 6
Right.
months.
I'll make the motion that we're going
I think you're good.
to do the interlock agreement with the sheriff's office for the year 2020.
Second.
No motion is second.
Not a year, just take it.
Mr. Brown?
Well, in the spirit that that I'm supporting our police department, fire department, I say yes for 1 year.
Well, that's to the motion, whatever the motion was, kind of go back and forth, but I'll get it in the final.
The motion was to pass this
For 1 year.
2020.
Approve this for 1 year,
Now,
for the year 2020.
for the remainder of 2020.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Meeker?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
yes,
And
Yes.
Ms. Terry?
No,
Vice Terry?
Yes.
Motion passes by majority.
Thank you, council, thank you, chief.
Is that next one?
Yes, next one is the
Can
radio.
I say something real quick though?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm just gonna ask you very diligently to stay on top of that as far as how that progresses, if you will.
Believe me.
And, because I mean, as you can see, it's a touchy subject.
Sure.
But I think it'd be nice to know how they're faring as far as the 911s and cell phone fees, all that stuff. And, and then once we cut this check and we see we're gonna have to continue to, I'd like you to stay on top maybe of the representation.
Absolutely, and I guarantee you, in public, that at any moment, that I get a hint that we are not not having a seat at the table.
Right.
Officially.
That's what I'm
Not
getting
not just a call from somebody and say, hey, here's what, I'm talking a literal seat at the table. I will come to you and inform you and be for you to say, we're done. And now, with the understanding or some other plan of keeping these guys safe.
Right.
I mean, that is it. And I don't like any of the other stuff that goes along with it, but yes, I will certainly do that. Absolutely. Yes, sir. Did you have something? Oh, I'm sorry. Next item is radio tower discussion, which is, we talked about this last month. I brought it to your attention. The timing of it was we needed to move on this, so we're moving, but we need to bring it back for you to, what are your questions? What do we have here? I'm sorry. We don't have a paper on this, do we? I don't see anything. Okay. So, go ahead. You're much more.
The whole discussion about moving our equipment off the tower in Bell Park and onto the water tower out there at Shadow Lake. We were going to have an ongoing lease through that company in Florida at 14.4. And by moving that equipment, obviously, we instantly saved that money. The cost to move that equipment, I think, was $6,500, was it?
The total cost for everything, including the building, including all the electronics, was $21,000 something. Do you have a number, Eric? I think it was like 20, between 20.
It is 21, right around 21 altogether.
That's a one-time.
And the lease for the tower was how much a year?
14 for a year.
14,000.
14,400 per year.
And also the integrity test was going to be 2,500.
Which we would have to pay for, and then if it comes back where the integrity is jeopardized, then we would have had to have paid for the upgrade, which God only knows what that was.
So we have,
And that cost is including new equipment that was needed.
And
The
this,
equipment's in that cost.
the 21,000, we own this.
You know, the building
to be placed or is placed
is,
on the water tank that was approved by Water Wastewater Commission. And I'm understanding too from, Nick Driscoll, that the repeater is in place on this tower and it is doing well. It is helping so far. The testing so far so good.
So everything is up and operational.
I've not been up to see. I'm assuming the building's there that would be operating.
And
Okay.
at this point, it seems to be effective.
Yes, it's still what it needs to do. We've tested the tornado sirens. We're looking at grants to try and improve our tornado system. There's actually computers in the hybrid weather and set the tornado sirens off themselves. And, I mean, that's what people are obviously going to or went to. Instead of our system going down the police department and us punching in the code. But we're going to see if we can find some grants for that.
So we're gonna have,
We brought it to your attention last month, and to I just had to go with gut feeling a little bit here on this, to be honest with you. The council seemed like this is something we need to be looking at hard and saving some money on obviously on the contract on that rental, and it made sense, and they were on board. They are putting into water, so we just went ahead and got going. So it is operational.
what kind of building?
It's a
storage.
storage building.
It's-
Yeah, well, I haven't seen it, but I think it's a portable building.
And it's got AC in it, obviously, to the electronics.
Out there below the town.
Right.
So we're
funds coming again to this expense?
I'm sorry.
From general, we had it budgeted at the 14,400 plus the 2,500. But your overrun is going to be about $4,500 on that, but it's actually two projects. It's the tornado siren move, and it's the repeaters for the baby repeaters. So two separate items, you're paying one company. You also bought a building with that, so that keeps it all under $20,000 if you were to look at it as individual projects. The one vendor is $21,000. But to save an ongoing expense of 14,400 is very wise economic decision.
So
So do we need to vote a resolution, is there an amendment to the budget if it's an overage?
Well, the overage is, it's not a line item, so it's under his $5,000 purview as well, so, and you already approved the 14.4, we just redeployed it. But it was discussed with you.
I think it's more tonight, approval, or there is no resolution, there is no, it's under the fire, like you said, I guess just bring it to your attention that we're doing it. And good for us, I guess. I don't think
I'm happy it's working.
I'm
It's working.
sorry.
I'm glad it's working.
Okay. Anything else? What are your thoughts? What are you thinking?
Well, that under five thing, like, I understand that they don't, you don't have to come to council first.
Right.
Doesn't mean anytime it's under five, I mean,
No,
that's why you're bringing.
that's what I'm bringing.
So if it's in the budget, there's nothing else to be done. Or there's
No,
no
no
agreement.
official, that's all we're saying. No agreement.
Information only.
Yes, FYI.
Good, no action taken.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next item is the building, SRCA building lease discussion. There's not a lot of new news, or really no new news, I suppose. This is the building itself, as you know, and we all, I think, agree, we've had conversations about we don't like the idea of continuing to put money in the building we don't own, so we're investigating that option. I've talked to the bank, Stanhope a few times. Tom and I went over, as we reported earlier, to talk to them, and they as a board, probably don't even need to meet. I mean, I know, I'm pretty sure the council would love to go a week at a time over there, or a month at a time, or whatever, but we've not discussed that since last time. I haven't, with what I have on the phone with Stanhope, but not much. So, the Senior Citizen Activity Center is continuing on because the other contract is where the funding comes from us, correct?
We have
With-
no
with-
lease right now.
Yeah, there is no lease on the building. Yes, that's correct. We're running without a lease.
But
Because there's no
what
money.
we did is we shifted the dollar amounts that were operational to the SRC over to the SRC contract. You've approved that and you put limits or caps on some of the actual expenses such as repairs and maintenance and the utilities. To say that we're funding money into a building we don't own is technically not true anymore. What we're doing is they're paying the bills and we're subsidizing their operation. And that's all included in their operations now. And by putting a cap on it, it makes us come to the table with farmers to negotiate how major items will be addressed if it needs to be done for the safety and welfare of the senior citizens at the center that utilize it. But we still need a lease, we still need to go to them.
So what I would like is some direction from you to go to them with a very specific date or length of time to negotiate that with them and see how it comes out. On a side note, I am, and Danielle is not daily, but certainly looking into every option or what's out there available to begin to consider the new facility. We've looked around at existing buildings. I don't think there's a building in Greenwood that could accommodate this without spending as much money as we would to build a new building. So we approached or contacted USDA. We do not, we make too much money here in Greenwood, if you will, to be able to get a loan or any kind of loan to them or any kind of assistance. But we're still reaching out to other entities and see what's out there available. And I'm talking to a couple of other mayors to see how they did what they did. And some of them are wrapped up in their bond issue that they had passed in Van Buren, for instance. I can't remember what Mayor Martin told me from now on. Maybe sales tax that they did. So anyway, we're working on that end too, to come back and say, here's an option for us. So, but in the meantime, I need to get back to Farmers Bank to get, I don't feel real comfortable about not having a contract on that facility.
Well, my speech that I would give to you, just mark out Judge Hudson and put Farmers Bank. This is the same thing as the dispatch deal. In my eyes.
I'm not following.
I mean, they're wanting us to pay for their building repairs, basically.
What they're doing is a zero.
It's a rent-free. We have been doing that. It's not new.
The trade-off.
We have been
is-
doing that ever since we've been there.
As I explained before, the trade-off is they'll charge them a lease, we'll have to subsidize that, and then they'll take on the repairs. So which way do you want it? And we can go to them and negotiate that for sure, but they're not gonna do free and have nobody pay for the repairs except their
So
operation.
what is Farmers Bank proposing?
They're not proposing anything. They're waiting on us to propose something back to them. They're fine as things go on. They're not asking anything.
Well, we've been talking about this for 6 months of, you know, this is gonna expire, we need to have a plan that's gonna expire, what are they gonna do, what do they wanna do, you know, and then it's kind of like, well, we don't wanna lease it for nothing, and, you know, or we're gonna cancel it, we're gonna lease it. So I guess my point is, you know, we said, okay, we're agreeing to pay for what we've agreed to with the limits on the expenses, right? Is Farmers Bank willing to come back and say, we will lease this to you? You know, we'll
I'm not
continue to
I'm not
lease.
asking that. That's why,
We understand you maximized it, all that.
I'm not asking.
Tornado blew the roof off tonight, who's putting that new roof on?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we need the lease.
That's what the lease, before we were.
Capital items,
Right.
major capital items we need to discuss with them. I'd like a new lease. I'd like to know how long you want that lease to be, because the last one was 15 years.
Yeah,
That's too
so-
long. We need to make it shorter, much shorter duration.
Yeah, so
Plus,
for
we
the-
need to have in there the clause about how do we negotiate capital expenditures, major capital expenditures? Because bottom line is right now, without them issuing any kind of a lease dollar amount, which they're saying reasonable is $6,500, to them to operate on, they wouldn't be able to operate with that kind of a lease pressure on their financials. I've seen their financials. They're operating break even right now. And that's with our subsidy.
The Senate, he's talking.
The center.
Yeah.
So farmer says, hey, you can walk away today and we'll bulldoze it.
Right.
I mean, they want the property, they don't want the building. So we need to go to the table with them with what your directive is as far as how long we want to lease it and how do we negotiate capital expenditures. We've got routine in there for a cap amount, which puts pressure on them to be prudent for how they operate and how they, use that building. But the bottom line is, right now, you're subsidizing them about the same amount that you're subsidizing the Boys and Girls Club. It's 54 to 51. So you're right in the ballpark for dealing with your youth, dealing with your seniors.
If a tornado rips the roof off the gymnasium at the boys club, who puts a new one on?
That's the Boys Club, because we subsidize them at $51,000, period.
I think we want the same
We
arrangement.
got out of the lease with them.
Yeah, that's a different deal, yeah.
I think we want the same kind of arrangement. I mean, if we rented somebody the building out there, we're on the west side of town, right, where the fire station is, something happens, we're paying for it, right? I mean, I think you'd
We
be.
charge them a lease.
Exactly.
Right, so
Yeah, I mean,
you're
we're just
suggesting,
charging them a lease.
that's what I'm asking, so
They're
you're
not charging
suggesting,
anybody, they're saying you can use this building, by the way,
Yeah.
you maintain it.
how much are we willing, I think, bottom line, how much are we willing as a city to pay Farmers Bank, if they're willing to even hear this? How much are we willing to pay a lease on that building? Not $1 a year for 15 years, but a
then
lease,
that
and
forces
then with the understanding that
To pay the
we don't pay the damages, obviously, we're paying the, like you just said.
I'd rather their lease be with SCRA though, then of course I understand we're gonna have to subsidize that.
Exactly. And right now, their lease with what they know that condition of that building is rather substantial. I mean, they did call out a number. Now, we'd have to try to negotiate that because they have to understand that they don't have that funding and they're gonna rely on us to make it up. So I really think that the way we've operated it now, we could do a shorter term lease with some negotiation or some power to negotiate major capital expenditures, should the roof need to be repaired immediately.
You said that number they called out was $6,500 a month?
Yeah.
For
the possibility of leasing it to anyone else. I mean, and he didn't really look at us and go, hey, we're gonna charge you.
No, we can,
But he
that's
said,
wiggle room.
yeah, he said, and I'm, correct me if I'm wrong, but the discussion was, let's just say that it says, Senior Citizen Activity Center moves out, it's an empty building, he's gonna start going through a realtor or somebody and say, hey, we want $6,500 for this building, or that's what we think we can get. Now, that's a first blush out of the,
I mean, I would just like to go to them and say, look, anybody in Greenwood, Arkansas, you're better equipped than any of them to help the senior citizens. What are you willing to do?
well, they're willing to give a building for free. They have been for the last 15 years.
They banked on that. They said that was worth how many million over?
Yeah, he's got a number, what, 15 years of rent?
So originally though,
I
we
mean,
were,
we'll take the free building. We don't want all that other stuff that was tied to it for 15 years.
But that's,
You want to give us free building?
that's not gonna
That's
happen.
not-
Why do you think,
That's what I'm saying.
why
What
would
are
you
they
think,
willing to give us?
why would you think after 15 years that they're gonna turn around and
so originally though,
What are they
we were,
willing to do?
we were providing, it looked like we were providing meals at $12.50 a month, right?
the money,
The meals, we were doing
Yes,
about
yeah.
$12.50 a month.
Right, and that's still in.
And then we were saying, okay, $3,000 on top of that, basically, is for repairs, maintenance of, and stuff there.
Unfortunately, that was what we budgeted, but that's not what the lease said. The
Right.
lease obligated us for all repairs and issues.
Sure. And so in some ways, to me, I'm thinking, we just need to find a building, we can find a building that's worth, that we can lease for less than $3,000 a month, where.
That would be your 3-year plan.
Huh?
That would be your 3-year plan.
that's,
So we go to them with a 3-year lease.
and I'll tell you, and unofficially, that 3 years is the number I heard, that they would be, that could be, that could happen. I don't think I don't think one person was interested in anything less, but that's just one person. But a building, and I agree, I've been looking, I wish there was a building that we could go, but here's the thing with the building, it's gonna have to have almost basically a commercial kitchen, and then room for what they do. So there's not, that I know of, we kind of joked about putting them in or the Storecraft building, they can play bumper cars and everything else. But of course, there's no kitchen. It basically would have to be a church with a family life center type building attached or something like, or a building you can go in and put a kitchen in, which you can do that. But I don't know where that is. I'm open for anything like that. Again, as far as new facility and building one, we're reaching out to everybody, Walker Diddy and everybody else that can help us take care of it.
Farmers Bank is just definitely opposed to it being a community center and all-purpose building. Is that right? Where we cannot do other things there?
No.
No, it's restricted right now.
Not,
We can't.
in fact, back in the day, Rod, when I was the parks director, prior to that, when I was the Boys and Girls Club director, I approached Farmers Bank about utilizing that facility as a satellite Boys and Girls Club in town. A pool room, not a court, basketball court, but a place for the kids to go in town. Because at that time, I hadn't gotten with the school, and we hadn't gotten busing out of the club as they do now, as I was able to help get that going. But, so they were not opposed. However, the folks that are in there, SRCA, that if we have the lease and we have a way to do that, that's not up to them, but that's not as easy as it sounds, But no, I would say that they're not necessarily opposed to it.
The lease
Just
was
work our way to the
restricted.
community center, it just
Oh, I agree.
be more multi-purpose.
We've talked just
Community center.
about parking abandonment, but no, but not. You knew.
Pull that blood pressure party on. Weddings and stuff.
What do you think, Tim? anything's possible. I mean, you go look at a lot of
I mean,
things.
it's a great fix.
And there's also, and let me just throw this out as a, take it for what it's
Yeah,
worth,
it's-
pie in the sky crazy idea. You know, we have discussion going on amongst people, the county and us, and there have been a few other people at the library. I mean, who knows that you could partner with somebody and build a facility that accommodates a library, which is a little more senior citizen-ish than a Boys and Girls Club, as far as mixing and activities at the same time. But anyway, that's out there. So I'm hearing, if I think I'm hearing right, is you maybe suggesting I go back to them with a year, or you good? What about a 3-year lease
3.
option? I would 3-year pursue. Gentlemen, good with me going to farmers with a 3-year, talk to them, see what can happen.
Would it be a 3-year lease with an option to get out, you know, 90 days or something if we see?
I think the 3-year is contingent upon what all the other streams are.
Yeah, we'll get back.
What do the other cities say?
They all own their building.
They own their building.
We're the only one that leases a building.
Yeah. One, I think one, not, what's the lady's name, the regional?
How?
No, that's
Deanna.
area agency.
Oh, yeah.
Deanna Rice, I think told Tom and I that there was 1 out of 20 number that she's over that was a rented facility, and the rest of them were city owned.
Well, I think it's hard to beat free rent. My only worry is an agreement with capital improvement. If we go in at 2 years and 6 months and have to put a $40,000 roof on it, and then 6 months later, Farmers Bank says, your lease is over, we're taking the bank, we're repurposing it, doing something else, tough luck.
Right, that's why I said, before we go into doing any kind of negotiation with them, if we had somebody look at that building and tell us what it needs, we'd know what the costs are, then we'd know where our negotiation position is. And no one's done it, and that's what we need to do.
Well,
We need to go in there knowing what that building
Yeah, the
is, to
building
be energy
inspector.
a
efficient.
few years ago,
And look for things like the electric companies to come do a refit of the windows and the caulking and whatever to help make it more energy efficient. But we need to know what is our potential risk over 3 years. What needs to be done now? It's almost like what we did with the street scan. What is our high priority, next priority? What's going to happen to that building based on a contractor looking at it and saying, this is what you're going to need?
and we did that, Tom, I say we, I wasn't sitting up here, but we did that as a city a little bit to a degree several years ago, because if you guys remember, there was a roof issue then, and I think we put a roof on it. And there was an electrician came, and so there was some of it, but yeah, so that has to be done, needs to be done
Be done
now, yeah, absolutely. Plumbing, and because I will tell you this too, we questioned, we talked to Deanna and about what's going on over there, and, you know, they're staring at the possibility, or we're staring at the possibility of a AC unit, heating and air units, you know, but they're working, they're trying too, they're trying, I want you to understand that Deanna Rice and that crew and Lisa Moore are trying to look at options. If you're familiar with that building, I think everybody is, that was Farmers Bank, and there's offices back there that there's some spaces they don't need. So to think that you got to air condition heat that, you know, there's some, but all boils back to what you just said, getting somebody in there to put us a cost estimate.
Does this thing fall into any specific department in the city, or is it just kind of general mayor's fund?
It's general fund as far as money goes, is that what you're, now,
I'm just,
maintain, as far as the,
I say all that to say this, are we entertaining, looking for options of building our own deal? Is that somebody's plan, whether it be the park department or the, whoever it would fall under?
I'm doing it now. Oh, you mean if we did it?
No, I'm talking about, are we looking at building our own facility somewhere?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm investigating that, yes.
So we're only talking about 3, 5, 10-year plans?
I'm looking at property and also we're starting to look at the cost of the facility.
That's farmers, how much they donate over there.
I can do that, and I mean,
So Farmers seems to be happy with the Senior Citizens Center there.
it's not, they're not ready to kick anybody, and I'll tell you real quick, I mean, the public needs to know this, Farmers Bank has no intentions of shutting anything down or
So
disrupting the flow of what's going on there.
if we were gonna do
They
something,
just will not entertain selling that property, or we'd be looking at buying it.
so if we were gonna entertain doing something major, and putting major money into the senior citizen center, would they sign a 100-year lease for us for a penny and allow us to bulldoze the thing down, build a new senior citizen
There?
center? Yeah, go in there, do a big remodel.
That would, no.
That property-
Unless they would have the property rights to that. So they don't want to give up that property.
No, the building is not important to them. Now, when I say the building is not important,
So they're happy with the senior citizen center being there, but maybe not so
For now.
happy for it being there in 20 years.
that's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
I mean, the senior citizens did have a home previous to this, and if they had to move out, because of
The county.
the county, yeah, the county said, hey, it's time y'all to move out, not to be home. So
And
luckily,
they do get
Let's
some,
just don't even get started on
and they do
that.
get some county funds. We asked that because I kept, and I forgot what it is, but they do, among other things.
I was gonna make that suggestion a while ago, but I thought, I'm not gonna stir that pot. They remodeled that over there too. County did.
County-
After they kick the seniors out,
The dispatch.
So they've agreed that you should go for it every year.
I'm
The
gonna,
table's still there.
I'm gonna go back to Farmers Bank with a 3-year, but I we'll inspect the building first.
Do they have insurance on the property,
We do.
Farmers Bank?
We do.
We-
So we would buy the roof if the roof blew off tonight.
Yeah.
Right,
Yes.
right, absolutely,
Yep,
yeah.
one on it. I mean,
We
it's
did.
like 15,000.
Wait, why would we buy it now?
We have it insured,
Why would we buy it?
we have insurance.
Yeah, we have insurance on the building, our insurance. That's in the contract. That was what we waited.
Property and liability insurance.
Okay.
well, have we decided we're gonna do a 3-year
I'm
thing?
going back, well, after I do a building inspection and get some feedback and flow there, then we'll go back and say, what's your thoughts on it? If it's anything less than that, or if we feel after a building inspection, 3 years, we shouldn't do that, I'll come back to you. Sound good? Okay. Solar power discussion, and it shouldn't take too long, but you already know that I'm talking, I think, Sunny Bell and I have been talking to, and Tom now, we've talked to a couple of different companies, and we're kind of homing in on one company. They're giving us more specifics. It's still, I still love the idea of it. I think it's the right thing to do, to quote Sunny. The savings that we thought we would experience after the rate change that SWEPCO experienced did not, at first glance, we weren't saving much money at all, right? But, and we don't know till today, still yet, how much we could save. So my point to bringing it to you is if we looked at doing this, and again, this is for all city facilities, wherever they are. And of course, they're under SWEPCO and Arkansas Valley. We have both, depending on where the building is. So the idea was not to go into debt, obviously, or not to go into debt to do it, and certainly not to be adding any more money, because the idea is saving, plus you're doing the right thing as far as solar goes. So we're still looking at it. Scenic Solar is the one we're talking to pretty heavily.
What's it called?
Scenic?
Sand Hills.
So Scenic Hills?
They got it.
Sorry. Yeah, it is. So what we've tried to get you up to speed here, what we've kind of been looking at is property, where you put the arrays. As long as the city owns the property, and it's not being used, and we're not just disrupting other things, that's good. You just think, okay, we're one step farther, closer. Well, because it has to be both utilities, that's a little bit of a challenge. So the property that Mr. Bell and I are looking at or have looked at is not ours. So then you have to work into the equation, how much does it cost for that property? And I'll just say real quick, and he'll come back again, I guess, the representative, Nick from Scenic Hills, says real quick, well, we'll buy it. You don't have to worry about it. We'll buy it, and they will. Of course, it'll be worked into your
It'll lower your savings.
your savings, or lack of savings, I guess. So we're looking at that, trying to figure that out, and then just go. I don't, Sonny, do you have anything else that we ought to say about that, other than just we're still
That's about it. I think
working on it?
We're still working on the quotes, and when we finally get down to the package that we're interested in, then we can come, then they will tell us what our savings would be.
Yeah. Other communities continue to sign on, and that doesn't mean that we do it, like my mother used to say very eloquently, if Billy jumped off the bridge, does that mean you're going to? So I would usually try to go ahead and jump off the bridge once at least, but if it makes sense and it's the right, again, some savings to the city.
When we go into this, do we also at the same time get in a agreement with SWEPCO and Arkansas Valley that this is our rate and they're not going to come back and say, oh, wait a second, things have changed?
No, you can't. They're
The
gonna,
projection that they gave you in that presentation anticipated rate increases throughout the 30 years with those energy companies. But that's their crystal ball, not what's really going to happen. And the feedback that we're getting from SWEPCO is the grid, the power grid, is they're having to maintain. But they maintain that grid by charging you, under your agreement, for the service that they're providing you. But if you provide them electricity that you're paying the solar company to do, gather, and transmit for you at a much lower rate, no one's paying for the upkeep of that grid. So the Public Service Commission right now is seriously considering grid tariffs on those grids, which is going to factor in, if they do that, it's going to eat into the projected savings. They have a crystal ball, we have a crystal ball. I'm not as optimistic as he is about what that salesman's projections are. That's just my 2 cents. But as Sonny put it to us today, if you save $1, it's still worth it. Because you have a carbon footprint that's reduced. You're going in the area of green. And, I can say, hey, as long as we don't lose money on the deal, but it's a pie in the sky. We mentioned that to him, and it's like, yeah, if they change the rates and change the rules, it doesn't impact you. Now, initially, the projections they gave you assumed we were providing them the land. Now, if we have to go buy the land, that's going to eat right into that.
one array. Actually, one of those, I may be wrong, but I think one of those arrays was them buying land, was it not? Or was it,
No, both rates were on our property.
But so, obviously, we're not ready to show you something and say, here's what we think, because there's some variables. The latest one to sign off was that I'm aware of, was Alma. They're actually going with another company, it's a different company, so with a crystal ball or a time machine, it would be great to go into the future and a year from now, see how that worked out.
Yeah, and he even said that, I don't kind of look at 30 years, when I said, how are you going to see this out for 30 years? The interesting thing is when we meet with the salesman, Sonny's the good cop, I'm the bad cop.
And I try to keep them calm.
Yeah, you do. And I mean, I batter him with, I'm trying to challenge his projections because I don't see it the way he sees it.
He's a salesman.
He's a salesman. That's what his job is try to convince you you're going to save a ton of money. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily going to be true, so I'm skeptical, and he's got to convince me.
And so, and any contractual agreement we enter in, is it going to be like a 30-year thing, or you're locked in for 30 years? So
you have an out in 6, but here's your out. You got to buy the arrays from it.
you have to buy the array from it.
Yeah, it's a little excess of $2 million.
You have to.
You don't have to.
Can't, it's not.
You can't. But you have to. You cannot opt it for 6 years.
Because obviously, if you bought it, here I am.
Yeah.
If you buy it, you're making more money.
You're making more money.
It's yours.
That's true. You want it, but then you have to maintain it.
But you maintain it.
And
So Dennis gets the weed eater.
and is there any caveat in the agreement that if,
They would maintain it in our presentation.
external things like the Public Utility Commission or the SWEPCO increases fees or whatever to us,
They don't reduce theirs.
They don't, okay.
You lock that contract. Anything that happens that they project the power companies that's above what their projection was over the 30 years is on you.
And what was the percent built in? I mean, 3%, that's what I was saying, increase, which could be 3, could be
I can
1,
tell you,
15.
power companies are not gonna roll over and die. They're gonna fight it. They're either gonna get into the business or they're going to pass on costs.
Which we're seeing, Arkansas Valley is in the business, they have their own. Also, up in Hot Springs, isn't it? Or somebody else that has their own, or combined. Wasn't there?
Clarksville has their own.
No, I'm talking about the fire company becoming a solar, or having solar too. I was thinking of somebody else other than Arkansas Valley. So I have not yet reached out to them. I'm encouraged to reach out to the Arkansas Valley solar power portion of Arkansas Valley. Or a local, it's, I don't know, I'm putting it. It's Sean Holland. Sean Holland serves. Sorry?
Today's power.
Yeah, today's power. Sean serves on the board. It's kind of interesting because he was telling me, so I'm on the board of the, I think he's on both. He's on both boards. And I said, well, that's a little odd, isn't it, that you got a solar? He goes, no, that's the way it's going. So we're a lot of, still some looking into it.
Probably got the silliest question is no good.
So, okay.
Well, what do we do if something happens to it?
You're still on the grid with SWEPCO and Arkansas Valley.
You just pay
You got
your
power.
rates.
And it goes the other way too.
When your electric battery goes dead, gas motor
If
I don't know one of those, I just don't
You get negative metering whenever they provide more power to SWEPCO in Arkansas, and so they bank that. And then on
So you still got
periods
two
where they
services.
don't produce enough solar and you have to rely on SWEPCO, they sell that bank back to you at no cost.
And the same thing happens if the array is completely blown away by a tornado or something.
Then you have SWEPCO still providing.
So what I'm saying is you have two services.
You still have the services,
Two services.
Yes.
but you're selling electricity basically to them free.
Or in this case, our case would be 2 for E, would be solar in Arkansas Valley and solar in. Okay, that's why.
I agree with Sonny. You can save $1, it's worth it.
We're on that. We roll around that canoe and Tom brings us back to shore once in a while. But like he said, he's not anti-solar. He's just making sure.
I just want to make sure you have the whole story.
I just don't want it to cost us.
And I agree with that, if it doesn't cost us anything, but I just think
Well, that's what we're
30
saying.
years is a long-term projection.
That's the same as saying if you make $1, it's not, I mean, when you say cost you, if it costs you and you're only making $1, you just said you're good, right?
I'm happy saving $1.
Not going into debt.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we agree. Everybody,
I'm
just not drinking his Kool-Aid.
I just think that if it was that, to me, great of a deal and efficiently, it doesn't seem like SWEPCO and Arkansas Valley would be, doing that.
Well, we asked him that question, and he said they're looking into it.
Yeah. Well, Arkansas Valley is, they have,
All of it.
SWEPCO is.
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, they're all looking at
The power company down around me is also doing that too.
Yeah.
They're
it.
looking
Yeah,
into.
that's who, yeah.
I don't know, I forget what the name of the company is.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna move on, if that's all right. Number 10 is water commission wastewater. Again, this is the, we were doing it.
You tried.
We tried.
Shut him down.
That's right, shut him down. Come on up.
Okay. I don't know if y'all have, okay. You go to the back, there's the two bids, and the bid we recommend is for they both have the same price, just different quantities. We recommend that you accept the bid of 700 dry tons from Denali Water Solutions for the price of $250,000.
I make a motion, we accept the bid.
And allow the mayor to.
Allow the mayor to enter into the contract.
Have a motion and a second to accept the bid and allow the mayor to enter into a contract.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Baker?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Rick Daniels?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Thank you, Council. Department reports and questions from council. There's a few here. You can see who they are. Anybody you want to quiz tonight?
We were trying to figure out who's got more money, the county or Farmers Bank.
money, so I guess you can.
$11 million.
Yeah,
That one Christmas City Department, yeah, that was just.
that was council floor.
That's a financial. Oh, yeah, I'll wait, I'll ask again. I bet, I'll ask it here.
So nothing from, no, it's not for you to ask, it's for, yes, sir.
Just want to remind the council, you're all invited tomorrow from 2 to 4 to the reception we're having, just nice and cake, cookies. If you want to go through some of the ISO stuff, actually, I'd rather you guys probably come to me and let's sit down and go over the stuff. We can do it here, but that was going to extend tonight's meeting. But everybody's welcome to have a copy of it and go through all the different points of how the ISO rating's made. And it's not just fire, it's water, and then, you know, part of it's dispatch, but you're more than welcome to come by tomorrow and kind of celebrate with us, and I'll give you a copy of it, and talk you through some of it if you need to.
You need refreshments?
Yep.
Cookies and cake, right? Yes, sir.
I have a question.
Sir, first question.
We talked about this briefly today, but maybe you give us an update of the conversation on the
Sure.
bridge.
Sure.
Thank you for the podium, keep us good. Thank you.
I look forward to it. I have talked to Michael Lejean, along with Jason, engineering firm, about the Old Iron Bridge at Green City Lake, which is going to be our connector from the east to the west. And all of us here wants to see the Old Iron Bridge, something done with it. So what we've come up with, and if you've ever been out to Lake Terrain, that's on Chattahoochee Boulevard, out in Chattahoochee Crossing area, they have some, the same people that's gonna do our promenade, actually did their trail around that lake as well. So that's why I was out there in the first place. But they have two really cool bridges constructed by Contech Bridge Company. And so Michael got a hold of them. What I envisioned in my head, and I just kind of threw it at them as they were standing there pondering the bridge when we had our field trip, is running a new bridge construction through the old bridge. Not using the approaches from the old bridge because it is getting structurally unsound and not for pedestrian traffic even any longer. But we don't want to get rid of the old iron bridge, so let's put a new bridge through it. Let's put two approaches from either side, so that would be like 3 sections of a bridge that would get us across the lake. Now, I believe maybe John has entertained the idea of sometime in the future, maybe in the next 10 years or so, having to raise the level, lake level. So we would need to raise the new bridge up, which I don't think that, I mean, I'm not an engineer, so I'll have to go back to him and ask that question, but possibly.
We have no plans to raise the level of the lake, but we'd like to leave that option open. And also, one day we may need to dredge the lake, and it'd be nice if we could get some kind of vessel underneath the bridge. So we'd be willing to chip in, it'd be extra cost getting up higher, we'd be willing to chip in probably the difference in cost to get up a little higher.
So I have not asked Michael that question yet, but right now what he came back to me with was an amount of $340,000 just to put the new bridge within the old bridge. So if you're looking down, say, from the top of the hill, it would still look like the old iron bridge is sitting there. And the only reason I brought up the bridges out at Lake Terrain, if you ever go out there and walk that trail or look at those bridges, there's a new coating that's actually, and I was at a park today in Tulsa, that there's a coating that you put on steel now that makes it look rusty, but it's actually a protective coating. So it's the new bridge is gonna look old as soon as you put it out there. So it's just all gonna kind of blend together, and we're just gonna somehow connect the old bridge, whether it be by screws and bolts, however they're gonna connect it. So that's what I've come up with. Now, the mayor was very gracious, and we went to RDOT in Little Rock last week for my first seminar on applying for a TAP or an RTP grant. So that's what I'm looking into. also got some information from Ralph about another grant. So whichever avenue I can get money from, I got my hand out. So the guys and gals are really, really great at Western Arkansas Planning and Development, and that's who I was with today. They invited me to go tour this park in Tulsa, and I've been coveting in my heart ever since I left there. But anyway, that's another story. That's only $400 million. So 340 sounds pretty good. So we're gonna look, they're gonna help me with Western Arkansas Planning, get some things together in this long-range plan that they've got, the MPO, that'll go along with a line of grants.
And possibly some, of your
Yes.
family, council, I went blank there for, Dr. Cuthbert, yeah.
I mean, that's all kind of, tell me what you got, and we'll, you know, so we're all kind of waiting on the other shoe.
And this grant, I apply, the deadline is May the 1st, so obviously it will not be in 2020 that anything could even get started if I were to be awarded that grant. It'll be one of those ongoing things, but.
Construction was, we could know an answer about the grant in 2020, right?
Is that correct?
I think so.
Okay.
This one,
So
can't
we'd know.
remember. I listened.
I've got all the paperwork on
I
it.
think
Yes,
that's right. I think it's the same way it works with the other trail grants, so yeah, you'd know something.
So, but I'm looking at all avenues that we can, and like I was telling Daniel, I think some people kind of had it in their mind that we might make this a fishing bridge. Just in my head, I don't see any, if you put a bridge through the old bridge and have, so the bridge itself is going to encapsulate the new bridge, there's not really anywhere
You'd have to be a
there.
pretty good caster.
You can't put like a fishing pier off the side of that bridge, but I need another bridge as well. So I need one at the boat ramp to connect, so we won't have to go out onto Mount Harmony Road. And that's all in the big grand scheme plan of the lake trail. So,
Is that bridge the one Doug put in our backyard?
well, actually, that brings me to another point. Boy, you get me started talking and say anyway, the bridge that's in our backyard, when we get our new traffic relief, I believe, in my heart of hearts, that we're actually going to connect the east side of town right behind City Hall. I don't believe with the traffic relief going on the south side, I believe of Highway 10, I believe that our trail will have to be on the north side of Highway 10, which will go directly behind City Hall, across some property there. I don't know that for sure because until they get the road built, I don't know where the intersection's going to lie. But in my head, I'm just thinking,
Because you'd have to get across 10 again.
you're going to have to get across 10 again. But you could do that at the light at Mount Harmony Road. So there's an old bridge laying right out here in our backyard that we could just move over to where I need it on the trail instead of having it over the river and through the woods out to the lake. So there's an option to use the old bridge that's laying out there without having to move it too far.
There's two creeks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, there's actually, if you look, when you cross, yes. So that bridge that could be one of those contact pre-engineered, bring it in, set it down kind of deals. So.
Who was going to look at this bridge that we got from Holt, the Holt Bridge? Who was going to, the same engineer was supposed to come by, right?
Jason, yes. But
He's got to dig it out of the woods now.
that bridge is on the National Historical Register. I know our time.
Or ours on the plate.
Ours back here. So we found all of that. I've got all that information. So I know our time is probably past from when we actually accepted the bridge, but we still have it and it's intact. And I just see it feasibly being used right here instead of having to move it anywhere else.
You're
be
talking about
easier.
crossing behind City Hall.
Right behind City Hall.
Our property to our property. We
Right.
actually own a little piece back there.
Right, right, and I know that's long range, but that's just kind of, in my head, it would be easier to do than have to move it out of here.
Which, of course, and she knows as well as anybody, we're gonna be looking at, we're trying to make friends with Core again.
Yes, yes, I'll,
You can't just slap a bridge across the creek without their
no,
blessing.
you cannot do that, and I talked to Mr. Meeker about the stream team getting involved possibly somewhere down the line. And we'll work the core out one way or the other. I've talked to Lee Johnson and Senator Fitch both about maybe getting to contact with the core and talking to them again. Bygones be bygones. I'm a new girl. There's a new guy over the core, and I think you know him. Or anyway, we're going to work that out hopefully.
Take John with you. He was in the Corps.
If you want to get political help with Corps engineers, you go to federal congressmen. They're part of the executive.
I've already talked to
So at least say you were COE stood for Congress's own engineers. That's who they have to stood.
I've talked to Congressman, Tom Cotton's representative too, so. You're welcome.
Anybody else for any other department head?
Well, I'm looking through I don't want him to come up front, but I'm looking through the fire report here, I see a
So I'm
Sebastian
gonna make
County,
him come up front.
I see a Sebastian County 991 board meeting.
Typo,
Okay.
911.
All right, we'll move on to council forum, which I think we have, you want to make the same comment in council? Okay.
I've already made up people mad.
Anything from anybody, council forum? Yes, sir. Oh, that's right, you said, I'm sorry.
Brad Johnson is coming, he's heading up the new trails committees, the new trails chair. And he came by my house and was visiting with me on the trails and different things. He asked me about the grant. You touched on it in the state of city address for the sidewalk going down to Webster and then across. And he said, what's the timeline, where are we at on it? And I said, I don't know.
Okay, so 90% of our latest information from Jeremy Shores, who, as you know, did all that engineering, the 90% required, the required 90% complete design and everything to go with it has been sent to RDOT. And they have one issue, one question. He didn't share with me what it was. He and Jeremy has addressed it. So we're waiting on them to go, you're good. And then in the next stage, in fact, within a week or soon, the process of gaining, requiring easements was going to begin. And he asked if I would be willing to be a part of that. I said, I will go do it, as Mr. Bell and I already did prior to the grant, which we weren't supposed to, we kind of did. So I said, I'll be glad to, we'll go back and do the very same thing. I'll walk with you or drive with you and go back to these businesses and start getting that taken care of, signed off.
He was actually with us today
Jeremy?
also. And he said he didn't have a final date, but he said it would be soon.
So it's happening.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Oh, yes.
all
Yes.
present tense.
Yes.
It's all happening.
Yes.
Okay.
I was concerned because there was a lot of time went on, and Mr. Shores assured me that nothing, we weren't missing any days. I called him, if I didn't call him, Danielle would call him, and so we're on target. I can't say by middle of summer there'll be a sidewalk anywhere, but hoping that's the case.
One other thing.
Yes, sir.
ISO 2, that's a big deal.
You-
That's a huge deal. And that's a congratulations to the fire department. And so this city council over the years has set this up and put a lot of money and funding, but it's kept it cheap. I think we're the largest volunteer fire department in Arkansas with an ISO of 2. And that's a big deal.
Yep. Agreed. And the water department is here. They played a significant part.
Water department plays about 60% of it.
Yeah, very significant. So kudos.
Bigger part than the fire department. So,
Well, Chief
shaking his head.
We're somewhere between 1/3 and 2/3.
If you want to know officially, I have the documentation. Stuart kept it from me for a day or two. But no, I got a letter separate from the one Stuart got, and then I found out through the grapevine that he had shared that information with Tom, and I got my feelings hurt. I said, I need my copy. So I have a copy on my desk, and I can tell you one figure. I'm not very good with figures, but there are 1,597 fire departments. Only 15, did I say this in the meeting? Only 1,597 in these United States, ISO 2. PPC, ISO 2.
Very low percentage of those are volunteer.
Oh, I'm sure.
So we know if the county is gonna piggyback off our ISO and get theirs, say theirs is lowered.
It's kind of automatic. I mean, it'll help all of our automatic aided guys around us. It just kind of, everybody helps each other as you go down.
Well, I mean, used to that we had a little leverage on that deal where, as far as safety goes, and you can kind of play that card. Well, your ISO comes down, they come in the city, well, now they just say, well, our ISO is the same as yours, you're gonna come in.
It won't do that. I mean, the main thing on this has to do with personnel and water resources and stuff like that. So I don't see them, right now, I think everybody around this is a 5. I mean, it could help them a little, but it's not gonna be tremendous.
Still.
Now, say we were a city, if we were a city of 35,000 beside a city of 35,000, and there's 3 of them, and 2 of them, one of them's a 3, this one's a 3, and this one right here used to be an 8, it dropped them down probably to a 5 or close to 4 just because automatic aid is a 2 3s. But it doesn't work the same way when you're big jurisdictions outside of municipalities. So, but yeah, it helps everybody.
Good.
Our biggest hit right now is just on the personnel side of it. That probably won't change anytime soon.
Thanks, sir. If there's nothing else from council, I'll go back to, yes, sir.
Congrats to the girls basketball team,
Yeah.
state championship next Saturday.
Saturday, 11:30.
Support them, go down, what time?
11:30 at the Bank OZK Arena in Hot Springs.
Very cool. You have a volleyball announcement too, yeah?
Our 12U team was ranked before this tournament last weekend, number 64 in the nation. And we won a tournament that had 35 teams in it. So we should move on.
If anybody, any citizen, resident, anybody, department head, or council knows of these things, the accomplishments that slipped through the cracks, because I know there probably are some robotic teams, things that I read about not too late, but I need to, that's what that acknowledgement and recognition times for the city council, as far as I'm concerned.
A lot of them have been in that Greenwood Life today.
I saw that, that's kind of why I brought that up.
Quiz Bowl was
Yeah,
there.
so you got the Quiz Bowl, absolutely, don't get enough credit, so those things need to be acknowledged. 2 things for me, real quick, if you'll indulge me, report on Josh Morton. You have one?
He's obviously back home. So far, everything looks good. He'll go back down for another scan, and he's hoping to be back, the end of this month, is what he's hoping for.
Okay, good. We had a recent retirement party, if you will, here at City Hall Friday. It was Carla Irwin's last day in the water department. She's been with us approximately 19 years, from what I'm understanding. So she retired. Her husband, Mike, retired a week before that. She was complaining to me. I said, this is awesome. She was very happy, in a good mood, and all, having a good time. There were 2 different parties going on in here for her. And she said, the only thing is, she said, Mike, I know Mike very well. I used to work with him. She said, yeah, Mike retired last week. He slept all week. The first week I'm off, he's sending me to work on his mother's house. So she doesn't get to rest first of the week. But I do understand. I think that she's going to maybe come in and do fill-in. So she loves it so much she cannot get away. But if you see Carla around, she doesn't necessarily live in town. But we're going to bring her back. If I can trick her into coming back to the council meeting, I'm going to come and bring her back and acknowledge that. Try to embarrass her best I can. But she's pretty good at embarrassing other people. The party that I attended over at the water place, and y'all know that she was busy handing out embarrassing pictures of Tim Posey, so you might want to ask about that. That's pretty good stuff.
Who's our longest serving employee now?
Are you good?
Greg?
Tim Poker.
Tim Posey?
Yeah, Tim Posey's been here longer, Greg.
20,
Yes.
20, going on
Yeah.
26 years.
Now we're getting busy. Always.
Yeah.
31 years?
31, I think you win. You win them. How long has Tim been?
About going on 26.
26, we got 3 good years out of him, that's awesome. Joking. Only because it's, only because
I wouldn't have the speech.
no, we'll change it. But if you haven't noticed, it's gone down every year. Less and less. Anything else? Okay. Well, that's 4029's art. They've been in and out 18
They're
times.
waiting on you.
I know.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
I think you finally gave up. I'll entertain a motion, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. Thank you so much.
Supposed to bring it down.
You were what? 12.